Hello everybody and welcome back to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. This is How to Train a Speedrunner, a beginner-friendly tutorial show where we have people come on, teach their speed games in a beginner-friendly format to try and help you get into speedrunning. Before we get into today's show, just a few quick reminders. Games Done Quick's next all-women and femme speedrunning event, Frost Fatales, is coming up March 3rd through 10th. The schedule is now out. You can use !FF in Twitch chat to learn more. And prize submissions are open until February 28th. You can go to gamesdonequick.com/framefatales for more information. As well, if you missed out on any of our shows or events, you can go to the VODs over on youtube.com/gamesdonequick. Check them out. With all of that said, we're going to get into our show for the day. We have Sonic Adventure 2. I will hand it over to everybody. Let them introduce themselves.
All right. Hello, my name is Trader. I'll be the runner here for today. Unfortunately, I had to switch with Don, but don't worry about that. At least we still got him as the commentator. Say hi, Don.
Hi, how's it going, everyone? Internet troubles, unfortunately, but we have a great person taking over here for me, Trader. Literally made a tutorial series for this game, so he is certainly well qualified.
And we also got one of the other best runners of this game, M.
Hello, I'm Emerald.
All right, yeah, let's go.
I also run the game, yeah. Let's go. I'm ready to talk about it. It should be fun.
Yeah, so this game's a very fun game. Before we start, I do want to mention a bit about the basics for it, because there is quite a bit to know even before we start in. First, obviously, there are 3 different characters and 3 different game modes, but there's actually a 4th one, kart racing, which we'll get into later. The most important thing is Sonic is speed stages, Knuckles is treasure hunting, and Tails is mech. Treasure hunting is going to be very different from the movement stages with Sonic and Tails. We'll get into that later, but biggest thing to know about City Escape is we're going to be holding down right immediately, and I'll let you know why later. But for now, we can start in 3, 2, 1. All right. And as you notice, there is actually a debug mode enabled. The reason why is because it'll make it a lot easier for me to explain things in the middle of the run. But yeah, we're holding down right so that we end up going a second and a half faster in the beginning here. And you'll see that we get to these nice, sick ramps. Each ramp is actually going to be pretty useful. Every time you're in the air while on a board, it's actually going to be saving you time, so you want to be hitting as much distance as possible on these ramps every time you can. There's a few different ways you can do it to get more distance. For example, if you want, you can actually jump and then jump a second time before you even reach the ramp. So jump as you get to the ramp and then jump again when you get on top of the ramp. And if you do it correctly, you'll save about a half second, if I remember.
Yeah, it sends you flying super far. Another way that you can do it if you don't want to deal with the double jumps, because it can be a little inconsistent, is just like moving to the side a bit. Changes so much. You see, if you look at the world record for this game, you'll see that Katie actually like goes all the way from the other side of the boarding section to get that, plus the double jump. Yeah.
A lot of the stage is going to be just moving quickly throughout everything. This is the first stage, and it's also the first one with a major skip called City Escape Skip, which, if you've ever seen a run of this, it's the thing that we reset 95% of the time on, because, okay, I got it first try, so that's cool.
There you go.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Conveniently, we're going to land way later in this tiny little hallway and save a ton of time if you're able to do it. So I know this show is very much focused on newcomers to the game. This is not really a newcomer-centric skip or anything, but I would recommend something that helps people so much is trying it and then moving on during your first runs. It is so worth doing that and getting used to this trick early, because it just takes forever to get good at.
Yes. Also, I just realized I have upgrades. All right, everyone, you're going to ignore that. Right. I'm going to close the game. Or not close the game, but I'm going to restart the file.
Yeah, we're starting from the beginning anyway. It's all good.
Yeah. Thank God I noticed it now instead of later. But yeah, basically, there's a lot that happens in this stage, and it's the first stage, and I want to talk about, I guess, the basic movement for Sonic. Sonic is the character which obviously ends up having a lot of the best movement options available to him. He has homing attacks, homing attack cancels, spin dashes, super bounces, just bounces in general. There's a lot that he gets, and he unlocks it over time for the most part. But the most important thing that we're going to be using everywhere, and you might have seen me doing it already, is the spin dash, and specifically spin dash chaining. It will get you everywhere way faster. As a beginner, it's going to feel very strange because the inputs are you have to charge a spin dash, uncharge a spin dash, and then charge it again immediately. But there has to be a gap between the initial charge and when you let go of the spin dash. Because otherwise, if you do it too fast, instead of actually charging a spin dash, you'll just somersault. Or if you do it too slow, you kind of just waste time, but it's a bit safer.
Yeah, one of the things that you want to like pay attention to with all of the characters is being on the ground for the most part is the way we can be the quickest. We want to be on the ground at all times. For Sonic specifically, spin dash chaining is the most important when we're on flat ground.
Yes.
However, when we are near like hills and slopes and stuff, we want Sonic to be in ball form as much as possible. And that's because like when Sonic is not in his ball form, his speed is actually capped. But when he's in ball form going downhill, he can actually go faster than that cap. So you'll see in most times, we're not going to be spin dash chaining when we go down slopes. We're actually just going to let Sonic go down the slope, and then we do spin dash chains. And of course, obviously, when we have to go uphill, we'll do the same thing as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we just learned this knowledge, and now we can apply it with new knowledge. So basically, the way I think about it is when you're going down hills, you want to stay in ball form. When you're on a flat, you want to spin dash chain. And in very specific situations, you want to actually run up the hill normally. Like if you're doing a skip with C, for example, right ahead of the skip section, we can show that off. Because you're actually going to lose, you're going to keep your speed for longer if you're running. So like on these stairs here, as Trader runs up, you want to actually unroll, because that'll be a little bit faster to just stay on the normal running state. But sometimes, if you can get away with just doing like one spin dash chain up a slope, like in Pyramid Cave, for example, we will actually just do a spin dash chain. But that's like a good general rule of thumb as Sonic. So flat ground, you want to spin dash chain. Down the hill, you want to use just a stay in spin dash the whole time. Up the hill, potentially run.
Yes. And we're getting into a place that has rails. Rails are a very fun mechanic, I guess. If you're doing this game as a speedrun, it will be very noticeable how annoying the rails can be sometimes, especially when you just start to lose speed very quickly on them. Luckily, this rail in particular is pretty normal, even if you're trying not to, but as you can see, sometimes he'll just like come straight off of the rail. And there's two things that you want to do when on a rail. It's tilt the analog stick the opposite direction that the rail bends. So if you see it's bending to the left initially and then to the right. So we want to hold to the right and then to the left, as well as holding the B button down. Because if you hold the B button down, even if you're doing nothing, I'm moving a lot faster than if I just held nothing at all.
It's actually funny because I was just going to say that they need to work together, you pressing the B button as well as going with the rail, because as a kid, I thought crouching actually slowed me down because I didn't realize that I also needed to guide Sonic to like lean him back to be upright.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, is that I'm going to tell you what I wish I knew when I started speedrunning this game. Is please just hold the B button. You can make it really fast. There's a reason you can crouch. Just either tap or like it sounds like you can tilt as well. I always do taps in the right direction. Both probably work. I've never tried tilt. But
the only thing with
it's so worth it.
Tilting is just make sure if you're ever tilting it, do not do it early. Do it later. Because if you tilt too early, this happens. Sonic immediately starts to have the like, whoa, I'm going to fall off thing happen.
I would recommend doing taps in the right direction, because that always works really well for me, and you only have to do a couple for it to work.
You don't even have to like tap it very hard or very often. It's just kind of like suggest the angle Sonic should be going, and he'll go along with it.
Very
Alrighty.
funny short story. Draco Dan, a runner of this game for many years, came into my chat when I started playing this game, and he told me to crouch on rails, and I thought he was lying to me because it made me slow at first. But he was just trying to help me.
So if you're gonna do this stage skip list, by the way, what Trader just did there's two things you can do. You can either spin dash into the dash pad, or what I do, it's a little bit slower, but it's a lot more consistent. Just straight up run into the dash pad for the loop when you're going down the building. Keep holding forward, and then when Sonic is like fully transitioned onto the wall, you can neutral stick and charge a spin dash.
So
if you want to try that out.
So this is what you were talking about.
Now neutral stick and charge.
Yeah.
And then right before the bottom, you want to jump off so you can avoid those springs.
Yep. So neutral stick, and ooh, that's not a neutral stick. Let me try that again.
You can spin dash into it, but sometimes it'll throw you up, and I'm not a huge fan of that.
And there you go.
So
My marker for knowing when to jump off this building is actually do you see the shadows that go by very quickly? As soon as I start seeing them, I wait a second and then I jump.
yeah, that's the same thing I do. I would recommend doing that if you want to time jumping off. It feels super nice to jump and then instantly land on the ground. Just like that.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just going to spend a few seconds in the air, and that's not really that fun, especially because it kind of feels very slow. And I think more times you'll often find that you're resetting, not because something actually lost a lot of time, but because it felt like it lost a lot of time.
Yeah. All right, so now we have another rail section, same thing, hold B. And during the transitions here, you want to jump off and neutral stick. You don't need to touch the stick at all. It's going to transfer you directly to the next rail. Again, something I wish I could go back and tell myself, because this gave me so much headache
Yeah,
trying to get on the next one.
knowing that you don't have to touch anything with the analog stick on them helps a lot, or specifically when you're jumping off, let me say, because that helps a lot here. And if you want to
Yeah,
have,
I think
all you need to
instinct for
worry
people
about is
is
balancing.
yeah,
yeah. The instinct I think for people is to hold forward, but you could run the risk of accidentally rail switching too when you're
Yeah.
trying to like jump while holding a direction.
and that's like
Yeah.
a really big danger. So basically, only use the analog stick just to change your angle. That's it. Don't or to balance. Don't use it to choose where you're going to be going when you jump off. And you get going to the next thing.
All right. Yeah, so the very next thing here is the entrance to the truck section. If you want to try going in real quick and just seeing what happens when we don't get the stick, if you want. Or that's,
All right.
there you go.
Well,
that's super fast.
He's too gamer.
So, okay, I just want to show you something. Yeah, Trader's too much of a gamer to mess up. But watch Sonic fly into the air here. So we want to avoid that because it loses like a second or two. So if we go back to that, we can see that there's actually these arrows on the sign. And if you go to the part of the sign on the left here, where it says pass under, if you go on the right side of this arrow, you can actually stick to the ground, and it's going to save you a ton of time and keep your speed. It's super nice to know. I didn't learn that until I came back to the game and Trader taught me. Fortunately, I had a great teacher, and now so do you.
Yeah. I'm doing great here. Okay. That's not all with the truck section, though. Despite how scary and mean this truck can be, it hurts, but it's actually pretty nice most of the time. At least when you're fast. So what we're going to be doing is timing our spin dashes so that we are able to constantly stay on the ground as much as possible. Getting thrown up in any section here, for example, if I did nothing, this wastes a lot of time because you lose all your momentum. You're up in the air and you can't really change that fact. And once you go back down, you have to build up your speed from zero again. And that wastes even more time on top of that. So we're going to stick to the ground, and then we're going to have a few different sets of visual cues, because obviously we can't see when the next slope is. So we don't know when to charge our spin dash. I guess I should mention this. The way you stay on the ground is by charging spin dashes at proper times, because if you're in the ball form for whatever reason, you have a much more... Sonic acts as if he's a lizard, and he just gets stuck to the floor and will not come off of it. But if you're running, that's completely different. He'll just fly off very often. Or if you're in the ball form and actually doing a spin dash. It's specifically when you're charging one that you stick to the floor. But even if you do it, if you mistime it, then you will still come flying off. So we do have some visual cues. This one that I use is going to be, I think from, oh, the game crashed.
Oh,
Oops.
That's
Unfortunate.
Gonna, yeah.
We are speedrunners, so we're gonna get back there real quick.
Easily.
yeah, it won't take much time. Also, this is actually perfect because I was going to tell you to move the cursor because the cursor was on the
it's on screen?
Yeah, it's all
right.
good.
Happens.
Yeah.
I saw Chad talking about it and I was like, I'll wait till after CE, but this is a good time to say it
You could
too.
have just said it.
So
early.
yeah, basically the quick gist of what you want to do here is during the truck section, it's going to be, you have the downhill slopes and stuff. And so basically what you want to do is charge the spin dash as that down slope is coming up. So we're going to see some nice visual cues for that in a moment here.
I'm
we get everything
Peter,
back
we
up.
need the stream again.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh yeah, you're
on
not
our
seeing
end.
it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm going to show a skipless run so that you can see what it looks like when it's done without like a bunch of interruptions in the middle. So just a bunch of spin dash charges, break the box, and then jump over. Oh, sorry?
This skipless route here, when you don't go for the ramp, is awesome because you can charge your spin dash and use the stored speed on the downslope, and look how fast he's going. Like, it is much faster than much else that you see in the game, which is really cool. So Queen Skipless Run is like one of the coolest ILs, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get really good times, and it's also one of the more technical stages, so if you ever want to learn the movement of Sonic, I'd say Skipless CE is a very good one. There's going to be a few others, but this one's definitely one to try out for sure.
But yeah, I would say let's just try moving on a bit, and we can shout out some visual cues on the way. But I don't
Yes.
want to spend too long here.
Yeah, for sure. We got my favorite
think we covered most
boss
basic
fight
stuff,
too.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
How sick I am.
some of the
Yeah,
visual
yeah.
cues I use here. Almost got it. So personally, what I use is at the end of the rings there, I start spin dashing.
Yes.
And then here, it's a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So you really want to just delay for a second and then go again. Here you want to slam into that wall so you can hit the dash pad. And if you did that right, then you won't fly up on this one. You can just neutral stick.
Yeah, I will actually show that off or properly. Can you hurt me, please?
Yeah.
I'm trying
That'll be good to see.
Show things.
Yeah, and then just one more visual cue there at the end that we can talk about as we're passing it.
Yeah, so
But yeah, so like I was mentioning, you slam Sonic into the wall here after the second slope.
Yes.
So at the bottom of this one, you hit the dash pad on the wall
boing. Okay.
right here.
Kind of messed it up.
And that'll work. You want to be in between the yellow line and the middle of the ground. Unfortunate.
Yeah, let me actually properly show that off so that we can have something. All right.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to see because the nice part is it's so easy if you're able to hit the right dash pad. But because you're going so fast, it's not super easy. So we have two slopes here, and then Trader's going to hit the dash pad against the wall. You want to be right in that little quadrant, and you're going to automatically stick without doing anything. And as you see that ramp appear on your screen on the final slope is when you want to spin dash chain.
Yeah. And then ending
And there you go.
time under 2 minutes is a very, very good time for skipless.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
All right. I get to
The
talk
cursor-
about... Oh, sorry.
The cursor is still on screen.
Oh, that's not mine. My cursor's not on screen. It's on my other screen.
Interesting.
I've been
okay.
framed. My name's Trader, and I'm the one that got framed.
Hey,
Wait a
what's
minute.
going on with
This is
production
new
here?
territory.
Wait a minute.
No, I'm kidding. I love you guys. You're doing a great job.
Yes, you are doing great.
All right.
All right.
This is Bigfoot. This is one of my favorite boss fights because I had a lot of struggle with doing this boss fight properly, I ended up having to completely make my own little strat for this. And it's the best one because it's mine. So it's great. Basically, what we're going to be doing is as soon as this boss fight loads, there's two different ways that you can go about it. What we're going to be trying to do is jumping off of a box to hit Bigfoot early, because his only hitbox that actually takes damage is always active, actually. And to hit it, we're going to need the height from one of the crates, as you can see, the one on his left or right. That one works. But if you struggle with making it there or feel very unsafe, because what he's going to do is he's going to jump up into the air, like so, and then he's going to fly forward. That means that you have a very small amount of time to make it to this box, jump, and hit him before he does any of that. I'm going to show that off. The strat here is to just hold directly forward and spam jump. I don't know why it works considering the box is to your left, but it does work. You do that, and then you jump again onto the box, and then jump one more time to hit him. After you hit him, all you're going to do is just repeat that 3 more times. If Omochao would allow me.
Yeah, so also, if you happen to restart in this fight, Omochao is a bully and breaks your box. So, unfortunately, we're going to get that possibility.
Yes, and I made a tutorial for this boss fight, and basically what I had as a visual cue for when you want to homing attack after you're falling in on the ground is after you pass. Do you see how Sonic has his like quills basically in line with the feet of Bigfoot? Once that happens, you hold up left and homing attack. Of course, if I pause, it makes it a bit difficult, but that's basically what you're going to be doing. And you do that 3 more times, and you should be able to get a 21 with the front box.
Yeah, the only other main option you can do if you're really struggling getting to this box on time is using the box to your back left, since Bigfoot's going to be flying towards you.
Yes.
But personally, I don't even think it's that much easier because you kind of have to deal with the way that Bigfoot's going to be flying. And I even struggle with it a little bit sometimes. And it's also a few seconds slower. But if you can find more consistency with it, then it's worth it.
So this is what
But yes, you see, you do kind of have to cross more distance to hit him, so it's a little scary.
I'm just going to do this to get more lives. And yeah, honestly, the big fear that a lot of people I've learned have when they're learning this strat at the beginning is just getting that first hit. Because as you can see, the camera isn't centered on Sonic, and it feels like this should be difficult to reach here. That's why the strat of just holding forward and spamming jump is actually really important as a runner. Because you don't have to think.
Yeah.
You just spam jump, jump again, homing attack. Jump,
Yeah,
jump.
hold the direction and spam a button.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
And then we just bully Bigfoot. Frame perfect time here is a 21:39, but I'm actually just so much better. So
All right, so Trader, now we can use your mouse powers for good if you'd like me to go over the free pieces.
wait, can we see my mouse? Does it appear? Do you see
We
it?
might
Not
need
on Discord,
confirmation
but
on
then it
that.
appears on stream, I think.
There.
Yeah.
Okay, well
Okay, so I'll call out the pieces. What I want you to do, everybody here on the stream, is I want you to look at the top middle of the screen right now. So there was a piece there called Beginning Room right above Knuckles. One thing you can do, Trader, if you want to show it off, is you can go into free movement, and it'll show the pieces.
Yes.
So there's Beginning Room. You're going to see that at the top of your screen right when you load in, and Knuckles can't see anything right now, actually.
he learned
Well,
big
here,
early, dang.
Yeah.
So the other good thing about actually looking straight forward like that is you can look through the wind tunnel and see a piece called Altar with 6 pillars moving from left to right. It's going to spawn. You can kind of see it over there spawning, but it is a moving piece. So you're going to see it directly through the back of the wind tunnel. From there, if you want to reset and show Bird Box real quick,
Yeah.
there is a piece inside of this chest. When you turn your camera, you can see inside of it. There's a piece in there. Next, you're going to look just past the hint monitor. for on a railway. As you can see, the box just loaded in. It's kind of hard with the camera.
There you
just
go.
past the hint monitor. So there's nothing there on that ledge. I don't know if you can point to it with your mouse.
Sure.
But there's actually a piece inside of there. And we can actually unload that object, but the piece is still there. And now you see the object pop in, just like Sonic Frontiers. Awesome.
Yeah. The draw distance for the piece is further than the draw distance for the object. So although the block is unloading, if the emerald piece does happen to spawn there, you will be able to see it. So we always try to like peek over there as we do our beginning movement for the stage.
And there's also another
Yeah.
piece that called Between the Two Stone Statues, I think. I don't know. Probably like that.
Yes.
And it's over here. It's a moving piece. So when we're checking the on a railway piece by grabbing the hint monitor like this, we're also checking for that other piece as well. Because it'll just
Exactly.
fly in directly towards you. Makes it a lot easier, that's for sure.
Yeah, so even though you don't know like hint names or whatever, like speedrunners, most speedrunners do, you have many free piece checks at your disposal already. And then the next movement you want to do
Let's
is
be
you can
real.
run towards the wind tunnel.
Speedrunners don't know the hint names either. I think we
Oh,
know
look,
it works.
there's the piece. The piece I was just going to talk about is there. That's perfect.
Oh,
Storm Zone.
Yeah.
So you want to look for this guy. He's going to be directly in your way this entire time. So it's really useful if that piece is there. Just make sure to keep an eye out for it and grab it when you're running through the wind tunnel. The next movement that I do, here's an example of Between the Stone Statues. Nice.
Yeah.
A very fast piece.
there you go. See, 6
And
seconds.
then there's a few more free pieces there. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit hard for beginners. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's like back up a little bit
Yeah.
because we just started like talking about free pieces right away.
Yeah,
but I
sorry.
think we should. No, it's good because it's like literally the first thing that you have to think about when you load into the stage. So I think it's important to talk about it early. But generally, the way that like the knuckle stages will go is that speedrunners will get the first hint for a stage. Luckily for us in Wild Canyon, the hint is right there. But all these piece locations that we're talking about, we get the hint. But as we're getting the hint, we kind of ignore the hint at first so that we can look at where all of those potential piece spawns are. Because although the pieces don't show up on the radar unless it's like in order, like perfect example right here in a Storm Zone P3. I think it's P3, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That one isn't going to have a radar ping until you get the other two pieces. But it obviously is a lot quicker for us to grab it if we can see it on our way to like checking for the piece one.
We saw on a railway over there. I don't know if you caught that on stream, everyone. This is the test.
And so you can move the whole box, but you don't actually have to push it out the entire way. What you're gonna see, this doesn't really matter actually. Let me talk about something more important. First off, we're reading hints like M said. That's the most important way. I know a lot of people when they're beginning out, they try not to read hints. Trust me, speedrunners read every hint. We don't know what it says, but we're like, ooh, shape, good shape,
Yes.
bad shape.
Yeah, we get.
Oh,
we get
this
to the
is a
point
bad shape.
when you. That is a bad shape. Yes, you get to the point. So, well, first off, let's talk about I guess bad pieces. There are certain pieces that will spawn for like our first piece in some stages where we automatically go, we don't want that, and we move on because it'll statistically, like one, the piece is probably far away, and two, it'll statistically spawn a set that is not great.
Yes.
But in Wild Canyon specifically, one thing we can do is if we do get a bad piece one, but we see one of those free pieces that we check for, generally we will take it anyway.
Yeah. For example, this is a piece that most people wouldn't take as a first piece by a wind jump board, but I got a free piece, so suddenly it's a really good piece.
Yeah. The one thing I will recommend is I wouldn't necessarily go and like seek out what piece ones are necessarily bad or anything from other people. At first, I would recommend reading the hint. If you need to, take a second or third and find the piece and just take every piece you get.
Yeah.
And then eventually you'll realize, oh, this piece is terrible, and you will never want to take it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it feels slow to get this, and you're probably right. So,
When you're first starting out, take every piece because what you know is the fastest. And then after that, I would say, especially with Wild Canyon, you don't have to actually try and memorize every single free piece possible. At first, learn 1 or 2 or 3, however many you can comfortably learn. And then the next thing you want to do is just be aware that you should be turning the camera everywhere so that you can try and look for pieces. Because you don't have to know where they are if you just see a green thing floating around. So that's my advice, except for that flying bird that's green. That maybe you should avoid that one. But other than that, most things that are green and flying around are probably going to be free pieces.
Yeah, and there are some great guides out there for pretty much every stage, and some great guides on free pieces for this stage that I may have made. But yeah, so you know, there's a lot of depth. Yeah, it's great for a lot of reasons.
Yeah,
can list many.
And then my final piece of advice when it comes to Knuckles stages. For now, this stage doesn't really have much more that we should talk about because there's still more Knuckles stages and we can talk about more stuff about it later.
True.
There's actually 2, never mind, I forgot. Drill diving on slopes is going to be very, very fast. So you're going to see me just drill dive on a slope so that I gain a bit of speed. This one's a good one, but the camera's kind of not showing it, so I'll go to a different slope and show you from here. Let me get rid of the enemy so I don't die. Hey, little...
Oh no.
Okay.
He wasn't going down without a fight.
Well,
he didn't,
all right.
He didn't want me to teach anybody. He's trying to keep the knowledge to himself. All right, there we go.
There you go, buddy.
All right, so this is Knuckles' normal running speed, which actually I can have speed over here. If you see at the bottom, it says speed X and Y. You see that it gets up to like 3, and then he kind of slows down. He can keep going. His max speed seems to be about 3.7. I'll show you what it is when we do a slope jump. 4. Look at that. We're 33% faster.
Yeah, and so the other way to just gain speed quickly, even if you later when you do get the dig claws, say you're on ground where you can't dig, you can actually do what Trader's doing here and drill dive into the ground and punch to come up to speed really fast. Glide, drill dive, punch. Basically double A, double B, and you're up to nearly top speed instantly. As well as with Sonic, how grounded movement was very powerful. It's the same thing here. You want to stay on the ground as much as possible, not be gliding unless you absolutely need to.
Yes. All right, and with that, we can get past this stage, I think.
While you're completing this, the last thing I just want to say is that, unfortunately, Knuckles or like treasure hunting in general is just one of these things that you can't really shortcut learning it, unfortunately. You're just going to have to play the stage a bunch. Definitely, get as many hints as you need. Please don't just take the one and try to memorize it from that. But you do just need to put in the reps, and that is kind of an intimidating thing, I think, for most people, but it's truly not that bad because also you do not need to memorize every single hint and piece before you start runs. Also, this piece is really fun.
It's so rare. The only way you can grab it is by extending your hitbox with the punch.
Yeah. As you can see, because
it's incredibly rare.
Stand on it.
It is literally 2 out of 1024 to get this piece.
Certainly something. That piece is very, very rare. So great that we got to show it off. Maybe that won't kill run for people that have never seen it before. All right, and now we're coming up to the hardest boss fight you have ever seen in your life. This one is actually going to be really difficult, so we're going to spend like 35 minutes. Actually, we're going to spend like 35 seconds discussing it. Basically, what you want to do is you want to hold up and hold B. Just keep pressing B. Just keep pressing B. And, he moved. And then we press B again. That's about it.
Yeah, there's like 2 comments to make about this. Wait to shoot until you're facing forward and don't melee until the last hit.
Yeah.
Because you can actually use like a little punching thing and it does less damage. That's really all you need to know.
Also,
yeah, his AI will run straight at you if you just shoot straight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another thing is, speaking of punching and meleeing, try to avoid it as much as possible because, as you can see, Tails will lose momentum anytime he does it. So let me show you an example. He stops, and then you have to get all your momentum back. And for mech characters in particular, that is going to take forever. It takes like half of this entire hallway for him to get that speed back. So you do not want to lose his max speed as much as you can. It loses a lot of time, and as many times as you can avoid punching, try your best. Even if it takes you half a sec. Oh, yeah?
Well, I was going to say, while we're here and about losing momentum, a good way to get it back with mech is pivoting, like you're showing, actually.
Oh, yeah.
That'll actually get you up to speed really quick if you really need to turn around fast.
Which sometimes you'll notice that we're getting these pivots, but if we do this, okay, well, it's still working. Normally, what happens is you might get
Get
this
to a stop
to happen, where Tails just doesn't do that quick pivot. And the reason for that is you want to really just flick the controller from one extreme angle to the exact opposite extreme angle very quickly. And that's how you're going to get the pivot. So if you go left to right, that works. If you go up and down, that also works. It's very fast.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're going to be starting off mech and learning it with probably the hardest movement stage for Tails.
Yep. A lot of this stage is gate kept. You're going to be having all these elitist beetles keeping you away from actually going through the stage. So we're going to ignore their opinion, and we're going to keep going. A lot of the issue that comes around with these beetles is actually just locking onto enemies is kind of difficult while you're still continuing to move. And you're also going to notice that the gates take a bit of time to actually open and close, blah, blah, blah. They take a long time. So you have to time how fast you're going to get there. For beginners, I would say just wait until you see the door open quite a bit before you start moving towards it. It's much better to lose like 0.2 seconds than lose 2 seconds to bonking off of it and losing your momentum. Because remember, momentum is the king for Tails.
Yeah, for basic movements for Tails, the key is keeping that momentum as much as possible. And you're going to see one of the very first things that we're going to have to deal with up here is a 90-degree turn, which is not good for Tails because if you see there, Trader just tried to turn with the 90 degrees there and lost a bunch of speed. And so the way that we can counteract that is if there's any turn that's greater than about like 45 degrees, then you want to do just a miniature jump. Being in the air does technically lose speed, so we're not going to be trying to jump all over the place, but we are going to be doing it when we need to do turns like this because it'll conserve a lot of our speed as long as we're not in the air for too long.
Yeah. So this is an example of turning with the jump versus turning without the jump. Well, okay, that's a wall, so maybe that's not going to help. Let me try and do it.
Yeah, like Em was saying, if it's a really big turn like that, you're gonna lose so much speed. If you have the time and like a long runway, you can make a very gradual turn over time, kind of like a really big car.
Just imagine.
But
Tails does kind of move like a car. It does,
yeah, he does.
Make sense. Now, the issue here with Prison Lane and why it's one of the hardest movement stages is not only are we dealing with those gates that Trader was mentioning earlier, but we're also dealing with a bunch of camera triggers. When you're moving in this game, it's really hard to get used to the camera because you have to go like, how do I word this? You have to move Tails wherever like the camera has oriented itself.
Yeah.
Like you have to use that as a guide and like where you need Tails to go, you have to like point your stick in the direction based on where the camera is.
Yeah, basically
if that makes sense.
The direction the camera is facing, wherever it is looking is forward. So even if you had just been holding forward and the camera turns to your right, suddenly you have to hold right to go forward, which is going to happen a lot in this stage. I'll try to like point it out as it happens. For example, forward now is there, but now as I'm turning in this 90-degree turn, we go from holding left to forward because the camera catches up with tails. So left, holding forward, back, right, holding forward. It's going to be a lot of stuff like that throughout. And at first it's going to feel really tricky because it does not feel right to have to consistently change the angle that you're holding. And that's probably going to be where a lot of your momentum gets lost. Just because the camera's being a little mean to you.
That is what separates most of people's mech movements from like a beginner to like a expert level mech player. Is just like getting used to those, how fast these camera triggers happen, and knowing when to like adjust your angle and doing it very gradually too. Because again, if you do it too quickly, like faster than the camera is moving, then you end up losing out on a decent amount of speed sometimes.
So that jump Trader just did right there. One thing you want to look out for, we'll talk about this while you're here too. If you want to get on the elevator, ceilings don't exist, just like walls don't exist in most Sonic games. So you can just jump right through the ceiling here.
Yeah, let me.
And it'll actually just clip you right onto the ground.
Oh, great camera here.
So
Camera.
And I died.
Camera in Sonic Adventure 2 is a solid object. Now, not all walls have collision, so sometimes it can like catch up, but in places that do have collision, it can get stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, cameraman gets lost. All right, and another thing with the other elevator here, right when you step on it is when you want to jump so that you can actually make this lip. Otherwise, you will probably die or lose all your speed.
Yeah, so this
neither is good.
If you jump too early, this is what happens instead. You get stuck on here. Worst case scenario, if you actually do this with too much speed, Tails would bump off and fly off to the right like that and die. So
it's very sad to lose a run to that.
There's no checkpoint here before this either, so you just take like 20-second time loss, 20 plus.
Yeah. So basically what you're just trying to do is see that elevator, that square? This is our jump pad, basically. Think of it as a jump pad. As soon as you get onto it, you can jump and you'll make the height.
Yeah, we just need that little bit of extra height.
One of the very basic things is it does matter how long you hold the A button for Tails. If you hold it for longer, he gets a higher jump. And for there, you do, I think, need a max A press or a max jump. So hold it for the longest time.
This is the example of what Don was talking about with the fact that you will... If you touch the ceiling of this, you will teleport to the floor like that. Because there's no way Tails can make that jump. But for some reason, the game is really nice to us for only this one instance. Okay. I guess not to me, though. All right. And then the only other thing that we really want to talk about with Tails, because most of it is basically just going to be to do with that movement for the rest of the stage, is just making sure to shoot all the enemies before you get to the doors so that the doors open faster. Making all the jumps, making sure that the elevators start moving so that you can jump and do that kind of cool thing. There's also something called a gate hop. So you destroy both enemies, you jump on the fence here, and then you're able to jump, and if you can hold up left, you should be able to jump and skip the... You should be able to jump and skip having to use the elevator here. This is the only kind of major-ish skip for Tails. It's not that much, it's about like 3 seconds, but it happens twice, so it saves a lot of time throughout the stage.
Yeah, very worth learning, but it's probably going to be the hardest struggle for you learning this stage.
Because you have to hold an up left angle, and if you hold, like we said before, more than 45 degrees, you'll lose all your momentum as you're doing this jump. So it'd be like, I have to try and mess that up, but it's fine.
At this point, thousands of hours.
Yeah, it's so muscle memory for us at this point. It's actually hard to like go out of our way to do the wrong thing. I feel like a lot of times.
Here's a fun elevator thing that you can do immediately. You're going to start the elevator. This elevator starts moving up as soon as you land on it. What we're going to do is immediately after landing on it, jump again and go behind it, like this. Because, as you can see, there's this weird little gate, and that gate takes like 2 seconds to come down after we reach the top of the elevator. So if you want to save time, you don't even have to wait for this whole gate to go down, as you can see. I'm gonna go down too. There's one final thing that I want to talk about in that section in particular is why. Because not only can you save time by just doing something like that, something as simple as that, if you want to be even fancier, there's a better way to save more time. You're gonna see the angle that I have for Tails right now is forward and it's slightly to the left. There's a whole reason why I do this, and it's going to be clear after the camera changes a second time. Don't know why they do it like this. Once we around this height where you see the lights, jump and hold B and left. And you should be able to see that I got that second lock on there. Well, I don't see the actual enemy, but it's actually an enemy that's holding a gate back for us. And the way this game works, it allows you to lock on to enemies even if you can't see them and quite a distance away. So we're able to unlock 2 gates at once. And then we just get to save even more time because there would have been a gate right here that we just get to skip.
It's very nice for just very simple stuff while nothing else is happening.
Yeah.
One other small thing I should mention about this stage and Tails in particular. You see, like, Trader isn't doing, like, these big lock-on chains, and that's because it's actually faster to do separate lock-ons. So you're going to see Trader basically spamming the B button and getting these individual combos because the missiles will come out right away if it's not in a combo.
Yes.
So you kind of just want to spam the B button the whole time. Pretty much all of these areas to open the gates.
A good way to think about it is the way that the homing missiles lock on. If you have multiple things locked onto at once, it'll go 1 bullet, 2 bullets, 3 bullets, versus if you have a bunch of individual ones locked on, it'll go 1, 1, 1. Just keep pushing like that, which is a lot faster, obviously.
Do you want to mention the beetle back there to...
Oh, sure.
I would mention that. That's like the last thing I would say. So the gate hop obviously functions very similarly. However, opening that hallway that Trader was just in does require a little bit more. They wanted to be tricky and make you kind of solve a puzzle. So they hid a beetle in the top corner as you enter the room that you're not going to see until later when they do some camera shenanigans.
Yeah.
But we can get it just by jumping here.
So let me
we'll show off where the beetle's at.
So the beetle, you normally are meant to casually go up here, and then they're like, oh, look, here's a little guy. That's the one you were missing.
And that opens the room to the goal ring.
Yeah.
But like we said earlier, we can lock onto things through walls, and we just jump as we're running towards the actual hallway, or through the hallway. And then we can lock
that
onto
shadow on the ground is a really good visual cue
this
for
one.
when to jump.
Ta-da.
And then you just lock on, and then he's already dead. And then by then, you've already killed the robots that are directly in front of you, so then you can do the gate hop to get up here quickly, right at the end.
And then we just do a quick pivot turn to make it in there fast.
So I know it's been information overload, but like that, we had to describe at least all the basics of the 3 main playstyles. Things should be a little bit quicker now. It'll be more stage-specific things and upgrade-specific things as well.
It's going to be a lot easier to go through all this stuff now. Especially
now you know the basics.
Metal Harbor is a very consistent stage, but because it's all above a giant kill plane, which is the water, it's going to be dangerous. But it starts out with a skip at the beginning. I could show loop skip, but honestly, I feel like the easier one is probably better. Because if you mess up, you can have stuff like this happen, and it's tricky to avoid. So instead, I'll show you how to do the very safe version of this strat. What you're going to do is, as you're going up this loop, as soon as you reach this black line of vents, or whatever it is, jump and hold to the right. And there you go, you skip the loop. It saves like 2 seconds. And you feel like a speedrunner because it's actually really fun to do.
It is fun.
A common trope in 3D Sonic games is loops are pretty much kind of glorified cutscenes to us because you just run in the same spot, just, go high and then you go low. So our goal is at all costs to skip as many loops as we possibly can.
That is the goal of all speedrunners. Skip all the loops.
Yep.
This stage and Green Forest are interesting because they're kind of as difficult as you make them. There's a lot of strats that save a little bit of time and just add extra risk. So it's really up to you how much you want to add. I don't know if you want to try to show underloop once.
Yeah, I'll show underloop. This is what underloop is. Did you see it? No, that's exactly why. It's so difficult to do it fast.
Yeah, it is very fast. Probably saves, I don't know, maybe like a second or two. Actually, I don't know that. The loop skip's fast.
Yeah, the loop skip, you get a 7.5, and if you get the loop skip that you've seen me do where I jump like this, you're able to get 7.5 if you do it fast, and if you get a perfect underloop, which is the name of the one where you, instead of jumping, you spin dash like this, you can get a 6.2. It doesn't save that much time, basically.
Yeah, it's about a second. So if you're just trying to get into the game, loop skip is very nice. I would recommend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely go for loop skip, don't go for underloop. This thing is much better. You get a 7.5 pretty often, 7.5 to 8, versus the 11 if you just continued with the loop.
Yeah. What I will recommend, though, is jumping over to this water tower because, man, it is fast. And like Em said before, you're skipping a glorified cutscene with that spring over there.
Yeah, so let me just go here. This is the spring. You hit 5 springs, then it sends you up into the air just to waste even more of your time, and then you're finally able to move. Why did it send me there? I don't know, but that's fine. All right, let me go back to the area. But as you can see, the area that you get sent to is actually relatively close to where we were with the checkpoint. All you're gonna do is get past this black and yellow tape, hold the charge, spin dash jump, and land on this. And then charge.
Oh yeah, we gotta talk about spin dash jumping.
Yeah, basically a spin dash jump is charge a spin dash, let go of a spin dash, and jump. See? Even the game thought it was cool.
It's pretty simple. I think it's kind of difficult at first when you're first trying to learn it because you do have to just go from, holding B to immediately jumping.
Yeah.
But you get used to like the rhythm of it. We use spin dash jumping a lot. In fact, it's pretty much used anytime that there's kind of a gap like this. And there's 2 things to know. One is that you can just, if you charge it and then let it go, you get a bunch of, you can conserve a decent bit of height. But if you need less height and you want to get to your position faster, you can actually do something called a homing attack cancel, which is just by pressing A and then B immediately after for the homing attack. And what that does is it sends us a little bit more horizontally, but we sacrifice a little bit of height for it. And we use that bit of movement, homing attack canceling, to help us chain other movements. Like when you do a homing attack cancel, you can actually hold B from the homing attack cancel, and that will start charging your spin dash for when you land. And that is a useful bit of movement pretty much everywhere.
So here's the difference in distance that you get. We get to like the bottom of the white-ish line here versus a homing attack cancel, which even with the lower height, as you can see, we still get way more distance.
And I mean, like when you're holding forward too, right? Like it gives you even more.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gives you a lot of distance. It's definitely worth doing. You can tell you're getting it right if the trail disappears in the middle of it. So
this is a perfect place, by the way, to test out, to practice spin dash chaining as well as spin dash jumping, because it's like the longest straightaway, I think, in the game that's just completely open like this.
For Sonic, this is the longest. And it's great. Basically, the way to do a spin dash chain, I think of it as a heartbeat. BB, BB, BB. That's how you're doing it. Press B, press B, press B, press B, press B, press B.
And then the second B press that you're doing, you gotta hold it, because one thing that is, it does take a bit to get used to, and I know some people dislike this in Sonic Adventure 2 over, like, say, Sonic Adventure 1. It takes time for the spin dash to actually start coming out. Like, Trader is holding the button for about like, I don't know, like is it like a half second, 3/4 of a second, something like that before the spin dash actually charges.
And if you mess up, it's that. You do a somersault, and it's really annoying because you lose all your momentum in that scenario.
And we just got light dash, and as you can see, it's not the best upgrade, but we gotta use it because it's fast.
Yeah. And then what you want to do here is obviously do this.
Oh no!
All right,
I'm
this
not
is
gonna...
the beginner. I don't know if we're teaching him that one, Trader.
No, beginners can learn this. I mean, all it is just do a very precise set of inputs, and I can't even get it.
So this is something we'll talk about a bit more later. But loop speed is a really funny mechanic in this. Basically, it forces Sonic down so that he can stick to stuff, and gives him a ton of speed. So, like, for example, on this loop, he can run up it with the loop speed, right?
Yeah.
But we can use it in ways to do a lot of speedrun tricks. Like, how is he running on the ceiling there without a special property, right? So loop speed pushes him towards the ground, or whatever direction down is for Sonic.
Yeah.
Which, in the case of this loop, down is actually up at a point. And nice loop Yeezy is what we call this trick for Trader there. Very fast.
But what you're actually going to be doing is, just like any loop, just because this isn't a full loop doesn't mean we can't skip it. No, that's wrong. We're going to keep skipping every loop possible. Half loops count as well. What we're going to do is we're going to... Let me get a better spin dash. Or light dash here. We're going to have speed. As soon as we land, we want to jump and homing attack cancel.
And when you go around that loop, you will, it doesn't feel like you will, but you will have, if you do it properly, enough speed to just be able to jump and clear that gap without taking that ramp, because that ramp sends you into the air for way too long, and it's really slow. But this gap is actually pretty small, so Sonic can actually clear it pretty easily.
Yeah.
Here's a small thing we could talk about, too, that'll matter in Green Forest as well. This doesn't really matter much. But during the time where you're channeling a spin dash, you have something called storage, which is going to be relevant for the next two splits anyway, so we may as well explain it. But basically what storage is it can basically store the amount of time you've been charging a spin dash. So if you do that into a spring or a pulley like this one, you can actually charge a spin dash faster if you hold B when you get off of one. So you see, that is an instant spin dash. So that is one thing you can do if you're spin dash chaining into here. You can storage into the pulley. And this is pulley skip, which I would not recommend. It only saves 2 seconds, and it's very risky. Yeah, but it is there for if you want to try it out sometime.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't recommend it personally.
Instead, what you're gonna do is skip even more loops because, okay, it said no. I'm gonna stay on the loop, but yeah, we will do everything in our power to skip every loop. I have a vendetta against every loop here. Go
absolutely
around. What did you pun at me? Did I hear something there? No,
not really.
All right, let's go.
And again, walls don't exist, so we're just gonna jump right through it and homing attack after you get through the loop to use the loop speed.
Yes.
Not before, otherwise it will not be a good outcome.
Yeah, if you want to see what happens if you homing attack before you do it, you do get the loop speed, and it does send you down very fast. And if you get it lucky like
too
that,
good.
Yeah, man, I need to understand how to make mistakes better. It's hard to make mistakes.
We're too flawless, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, we've done this. I've done this stage at least like 5,000 times. So,
but yeah, basically the loop speed will throw you the wrong way if you don't do it. If you don't time it right. So make sure to do it after. Trader's getting lucky. All right. It's not that big a deal. Just trust us. It's not good.
It happens. Just believe
it. Just sends you, it nosedives you into the water. And
yeah.
So you just want to do it later. A good starter tip is just wait until Sonic is past the loop.
Yeah.
Until you visually can't see him anymore. And then you can homing attack and you'll get the speed.
Yeah, you'll get the speed and you'll make sure that Sonic literally cannot die. And that's what's important. We're not going to talk about like birthday skip, I don't think, because that's just ridiculous. We're just
I mean, I would say you could do the jump strat here, or you could just straight up run off this if you want as well. But you can try doing a couple jumps there to make it across the gap. Yeah, birthday skip is a thing you can do, but it doesn't save that much time, so I wouldn't worry about it.
No, it's just a matter of we're trying to optimize, again, keeping Sonic in the air for as little time as possible. So it's just trying to cut the height of that ramp in any way that you can.
This one is key, though, and also a great party trick if you want to show off to friends.
So
Oh, yeah, this is easy to do, but it's really cool.
yeah, so
is.
what we're gonna do is we're going to spin dash and land on the platform where the missile is. After that, do you notice how there are... Let me see. I'm just gonna go over there. It will be nice to me. Yeah, okay. Do you see these like sloped surfaces here? Well, we're actually able to do a spin dash on those to get a ton of height. And if you use the one that's right over here and you jump all the way up, there's the spring. So all we gotta do is get there. Let's try it. Okay, perfect. You spin dash, charge another spin dash, and jump. As long as you're able to get the spin dash jump off, you're going to be able to get it, even if it takes you a few seconds because you might fly over it, which is pretty common, but don't worry about that. The only other final thing that we have to talk about here, I think, is absolutely the fact that if you don't hold anything, Sonic will keep going until he becomes part of the sun before he jumps off, but you're able to actually just spam jump. Right now I'm spamming jump and he jumps off 3 seconds faster. So all you have to know is when you're on that rocket, just keep spamming jump and you'll save 3 seconds. Just like that. I didn't know that at the beginning when I started speedrunning.
Oh yeah, it's very fast in comparison. Here you can loop skip. That's also a nice way to do it, actually, because the ramp is really the slowest part of it.
Yeah, the ramp loses like a second and a half. Just jump over the ramp. You get way more than enough distance. It's not scary at all. And then we get the fight that everyone knows and loves. Well,
All right, let's try not to spend too much time on this one,
Yeah,
especially
we're gonna-
since we already talked about storage. The cool
Yeah.
part about that is storage, while you're charging a spin dash, you actually have a damage hitbox. And Shadow doesn't really know how to respond to that well. So basically what we're going to do here is just run into him over and over again with storage. So basically just charging a spin dash.
Yeah.
And you can either fully channel the spin dash and the spin dash jump, move around, or you could just cancel out of it with a somersault. But yeah, so here you want to hold up and slightly left and then storage, basically.
yeah. Basically, I'm holding up left, and as I get closer, I just hold B. He's going to jump. Don't worry about... Okay, well, he just ran in to get hit for some reason. And then he's...
He's gonna
We have
say
a
other
very
important
powerful AI at this point in time.
Yeah, you could literally just sit still in this boss fight and he won't hit you for like a minute sometimes. It's incredible.
And
But yeah, the other key thing is just stay behind Shadow at all times. And if you are behind him, you can also homing attack his back to hurt him.
yeah, that's a hint that Omachow gives that everyone seems to forget. It's just...
Yeah.
He's vulnerable from behind. And yeah, you just hit him from the back and then it's safe. But yeah, I want to show it off one more time, is just hold B as you get close to Shadow. You're like, okay, he's a little too close, let's hold B. He's a little close, let's hold B. I messed up the timing, but that's all right because we can just keep getting close to him and holding B. And
One thing to note too, as like a defense against Shadow, is that if you saw Trader was in the air, and if you like press jump and you're in the air when Shadow homing attacks, he actually can't hurt you.
the only time you're vulnerable is if you're not doing a spin dash or jumping. So if you're doing nothing, that's fine. And that's pretty much it for Shadow. Then there's a 40-second
Blows up.
cutscene here. Blows up!
Emerald reference.
What's up?
We're entering into the hardest stage, and don't question why, just hold right. For some reason, it saves 1 frame. There we go, we just saved
And
1
that's-
frame.
That's the biggest skip in the run.
There's nothing
single
larger.
Time
frame.
save.
Green Forest is a very difficult stage, but it's not a lot of new stuff. A lot of it is just, we're going to be trying to stick to the floor as much as we can. That's basically all we're doing. Because getting thrown up, just like in the truck section, loses you 2 seconds most of the time. So we want to stick
Yeah.
to the floor as much as possible.
Yeah, and this is probably the hardest stage to do it in as well in the whole game because of the half pipes, the weird slopes. It's just a mess.
Yeah, and just things not working properly. There is another aspect of storage we didn't talk about, and here's actually the coolest one. If you charge a spin dash just before you hit a spring, you will have less height when flying off of the vine, and you'll instantly be charging your spin dash. So this is an example of storage. Notice how he had that much height, and here's an example without storage, and look at how much further he goes, but it loses a second because it goes that far, and we need to charge a spin dash immediately after.
A second on each of these springs is really nice,
Yeah.
just for knowing to press the B button. That's all you got to do.
All you gotta do is press and hold the B button. This is another loop skip. This one's a fancy one though. Instead of just skipping the loop, we're also skipping the ramp afterwards. And basically all you're going to do is charge a spin dash and
And
hold
if the game is
upright,
nice to you,
and then homing attack upright. The camera is going to be off for me because obviously I have the debug mode, and the camera rarely cooperates normally. Having a mod makes it way worse.
Yeah, so the camera triggers are actually like really weird. They're nowhere you would normally hit, but they're just there to bother us speedrunners. So you want to spin dash off of this and then aim as far to the right pretty much as you can. You want to be like in the middle of this entrance.
Yeah.
And you will dodge the camera trigger so that it won't turn around on you. Like right there, yeah.
If you're over here, the camera trigger will turn around. And there's also, you can't see it because of me being in the debug mode, but there is actually like a collision here that will knock you off. You cannot actually come in from the left side of this wall. At least like half of it. So you want to come in from the middle as much as possible. Then once you land in, do a light dash. I'm not going to show you this wall run. That's
I think mini wall run's fine to try. I don't know. So there's a lot of wall runs in this stage. Like I was saying with Metal Harbor, it's really as hard as you make it, and each of them save like 2 seconds. So here, if you go to the top, it'll respawn the rings, like all the way to the checkpoint. What Trader just did their mini wall run, right dash real quick, and then you could try.
oh yeah. Well,
It should reload the rings now. Like if you get far enough away, it reloads for some reason.
okay.
yeah, if you reload the state from far.
So yeah, if you light dash off of the leftmost ring there, you can actually just go straight up. It lines you up perfectly with the dash pad. Worth trying out, but if it's too difficult, it only saves 2 seconds, so I wouldn't worry about it at first.
Yeah. Basically, light dash on here as soon as you get to it, and it'll do a 6 series of light dashes, and then we'll get here. If you mess up like I just did there, don't worry, that's still fast. It's not that bad. If you jump if you do a spin dash jump, you should land, and you should just keep running up the whole way, and you'll save some time.
Yeah, and the fastest way at the top of the wall is to jump off and homing attack, just to get off. And you want to hold really far to the right so that Sonic doesn't target those springs on the left.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the last thing you need to know.
Because this is what would happen if you just hold forward.
Or he'll fall because he's too close to the wall, so he can't actually reach them. And that's even worse.
Yeah. But yeah, that's
So
basically
yeah,
it for that
that's
section.
menu one.
Here, whoa, wrong button. All you want to do in this area is make sure that you neutral stick and have Sonic on the bottom of here. If you notice that he's kind of sloped, that's not good. If this happens, you can't neutral stick. You have to hold an angle. If you're
Yeah, one of the things that makes this stage so difficult is that when you're kind of on these different slopes and stuff, it can bonk Sonic around, and then you end up losing a bunch of speed. But if you're like right in the center here, like Trader is now, you'll actually conserve all of your speed because it's kind of flat there. So you have to kind of guide Sonic as he's going down with this kind of like half pipe thing.
Yeah. And as soon as
if you're in the middle, you don't have to touch it at all till the bottom.
Yep. As soon
Yeah,
as
until like right about here.
Yeah. As soon as you see Sonic start to veer off, just hold direction and follow it.
Also, if you can hit the top spring of those 3, it's a little bit faster.
Yeah, each spring
Random
from the
little thing.
bottom saves like half a second. So bottom one is the slowest, middle one saves half a second on it, and the top one saves half a second on the middle one. Are we gonna
So do you
show
want to
off?
show off wall run?
I
would show it. I'm gonna say, as traders doing this skip, it is the hardest skip in the run, I would say, that most people do, and it is one of the least time saves of any major skip. As you can see, Trader almost pulled it off, but it is just, there is like 4 different parts of it that's insanely hard. So I'd recommend not going for it until you are like pushing the upper echelon of runner. Definitely mess around with it because it's awesome, but maybe not in runs.
Yeah.
To give you an idea, this was the absolute last major trick that I learned
Yeah.
as a runner for this game.
The same thing for me. It was absolutely the last one, but it looks really cool. Look at this.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to ILS stage and learn this and play Green Forest, it is a great use of your time because you'll have a lot of fun eventually when it works.
Yeah, it's going to be one of your favorite stages, probably. Well, I mean, I can't say that, but who knows?
Not mine. It's not mine.
Sounds like
It's
someone
mine
needs
in
more
ILs.
practice.
Oh, trust me, I play it so much and it's still so mean, man.
It's my favorite in ILs, not in runs, because
Yeah.
that's where it hurts me.
Yeah, it's just a very common reset point for a lot of even really good runners of the game. So
And the alternative is just going straight up the tree, and it is remarkably consistent.
Yeah. As long
That's
as
the nice part.
all you're wanting to do is just get the loop speed
This
and
is
land
so
here.
weird.
Yeah, that's not a camera you should ever have to deal with. It's actually very difficult. All you have to do once you land on the tree, if you somehow got loop speed and landed on this tree, just keep holding forward. And you're gonna see Sonic either do this where he just starts running forever. If that happens, jump and go to the left. Otherwise, he'll probably run up here on his own. That's the only thing. We get to show off something fun. That's a wall.
Yeah. A really unfortunate wall.
Yeah, and it's trying to block you from actually jumping over, but if you notice, it kind of ends. And we can jump there. So jump past the red little plant here. The camera will turn if you press the left camera trigger. And there you go.
Yeah, make sure to hit the camera trigger there to reset it.
Yeah.
that is a trick we recommend that you definitely go for, though. Not the wall run.
Yes.
You can just go up the
Tree.
tree normally here with the springs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very easy to just go up.
You just literally hit a bunch of springs. That's basically what's happening here.
Do you want to show them what the alternative is if people don't remember?
The alternative for what?
Oh yeah, just no, like
Bungee?
if you don't do this skip.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So you have to go
So you go
all
through
this
all of
way
this.
around. Then you hit this spring, which I'm gonna turn off the collisions, and you do this bungee. It's gonna send you down, you bounce, and then you finally get to the same location.
Yeah, it's so worth to learn. It is not that hard. Try it a few times. If you have trouble, ask in the Discord or something. We got you.
This is
Yeah, just spin dash jump towards that red plant. The camera transitions as you're aiming for the red plant that's on the far rim there. So then it'll actually get you past the wall. And then when you're here, once Sonic gets past it for sure, if you tap your camera button, it doesn't matter which one, just tap it. The camera will follow Sonic. So that way you can see where you're falling.
yeah.
It's
and
super
then-
worth.
Yeah, that is a very, it might take you a little bit to get past the wall, but once you get it, it's pretty cozy. It's a pretty simple one to do.
We do another.
Another loop skip.
Yep.
Loop skip, yep.
And
Walls
then,
don't exist.
and then we just keep going. The rest of the stage is straightforward. I'm not going to talk about that thing. We're going to just keep going.
Yeah.
You just hit a spring and you're good.
Yeah, hit one of
Yeah,
the
like I
springs on
was
the
saying.
right. That top one is the best one to hit, but the far right one that Trader hit is also just fine.
Yeah.
The stage is absolutely as hard as you make it. You could get a sub 2 with doing none of the skips in there, really, outside of bungee skip. And, you know, you're not going to have that bad of a time with that. So it's up to
Yeah.
you if you like the stage or not, basically.
Thankfully, we've been talking a lot for these stages. We're going to some of the very easy stages now, which, or at least a lot less to talk about kind of stages. Pumpkin Hill. There is obviously a lot to talk about when it comes to Pumpkin Hill because every Knuckles stage will have a million things to talk about. But realistically, all you need to know is that there's one thing we didn't talk about with the hints, which is that not every hint leads to one individual piece. A lot of them do, but there are certain ones that have the same name that go to a separate hint. For example, one piece that you can get is Forgotten Hut. Perfect. This piece can be either up here in the church section right here, which is where I ended up getting it. But there is actually a second location, which is right here. This is the other location. And the hint name is exactly the same. It's called Forgotten Hut with a period. It's the exact same. So you don't know 100% which one it is. So as runners, what we try to do is we either try to avoid pieces like that in certain sections. For example, Death Chamber, we don't go for, I think it's called Golden Goddess, because there's two different pieces that it can be, and they're very, very far apart. But here, if it is close together like this, you get a ping, and if you don't get a ping, you can just fly over. Because this is a very fast piece to check for both of them.
And some of them, even though they have basically the same name, they have slightly different punctuation. So you could tell that way. But again, I wouldn't worry about that until later. That's such a minor thing. And so, some people call it Punctuation Hill because there are quite a few pieces in this stage that the punctuation matters, unfortunately.
Three-face ghost and three-face ghost question mark? Those are two.
It's a floor, but also a ceiling. Also has a period and a question mark that lead to two different locations. You get a feel for it over time. It's going to feel mean at first because you're going to feel like you're looking at exactly the same hint, but there are differences for some of them.
Also, one thing, definitely make sure to grab the upgrade here. Because when you first load in and you don't have the dig, it's going to force you to collect this upgrade. So you want to grab it as soon as possible. Literally run forward and grab it right away. Because your piece 3 will be one that you need it for.
Oh, and
you need the dig for.
The biggest thing is there's almost, because of that, there's no free pieces you can check for except for Cold Iron Box. That's the only...
It's incredibly rare.
Yeah, it's a very, very rare piece. And if you get it, the set forces you to go this direction anyway, so you don't even have to actually notice it. Just know that it exists. That's all you need to know. There's no free pieces. So unlike Wild Canyon, which had a million pieces everywhere scattered about that you have to keep turning your camera to try and check, there's none of that there. Instead, the game just tries to gaslight you into thinking that there's a hint that's going to one piece, but it goes to a completely different one.
Exactly, yeah, it just tricks you.
Yeah, so that's basically all that it is. And it becomes a stage that a lot of the hints are very similarly named, so it's going to require a lot of practice.
Another thing to note too is you will have similar hint names, but it'll be in a different order. It does matter. For example, Sad-Eyed Pumpkin, you can have that for hints or pieces 2 and 3. For piece 2, it can be in 2 different locations, but for the piece 3, if it's the third piece you're getting in the set, then it will only be in one location. It'll be in the same location every time.
So yeah, King of the Hill is a perfect good example. Actually, let me mention this about King of the Hill and just any piece like this. So we're gonna go to King of the Hill. Where is it? It's inside this enemy. Any enemy piece where you have to destroy the enemy to grab the piece will always be either piece 1 or piece 2. It can be in both of them. Same hint, same location. But King of the Hill actually has an exception because it can also be a piece 3. And ooh boy, it's the worst possible piece. It's all the way out. If there's one piece I'm gonna teach you, it's King of the Hill. It's over here. You gotta go past all these balloons. So we get all the way over here. This guy is the King of the Hill, and he's pretty rude, actually. He's not nice.
So yeah, you just dig right under him.
Yeah, the piece.
So yeah, it's an annoying piece. It's gonna kill a lot of your runs if
It's a
your run
fairly
is
common
close.
one too, is the problem,
Yes.
and it's so far out here. And I assume that many of you have played this game and probably spent forever looking for this exact piece. You might not remember its name, but this is the one you were probably looking for.
Look
Dude,
at how
I
far
watched
away.
Moist Critical look for this piece for 20 minutes and then closed the game. Like, this piece sucks.
Yeah, it's so, and I get it every single time. So actually, here's a great way to learn any pieces if you're a beginning runner. This is how I learned all the pieces in the game. They would kill my run, and out of spite, I would remember it. I'm like, ooh, Burning Mad. Oh, I remember you now. King of the Hill. Oh, I definitely remember that one.
Yeah.
You learn them by spite. I mean, that's one way to learn.
Yeah, it works.
I guess one other interesting thing is we can maybe, it's kind of complicated, but we can explain like very basically how pieces spawn. For like a piece 1 and a piece 2, they will never be within radar range of each other.
Yes.
So a good way to like kind of decipher which of the ambiguous hints you got, like the hints that lead to multiple locations, is to remember where those 2 locations are and be like, okay, which one is further away? And if it's whichever one is further away is most likely the one that it will be at. Now that is not always the case, because a piece can be out of radar range, but can still be like it could still be the closer one, but it's a good rule of thumb to just assume that it is the further one.
Yeah, the game basically gives it a higher chance to be the one that's farther away, which makes sense. It makes you explore more, but it's unfortunate for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So generally, when you're looking for 3 pieces or free pieces that are maybe around like a piece 1, it'll generally be a piece 3, not a piece 2.
And the only last thing that I want to talk about with Pumpkin Hill, oh hey, look, it's a floor and also a ceiling. I don't actually know where this piece is. I just kind of guess.
That's Ghost.
Okay, well, it looks like
So the period for that one is at Church, and the question mark is at Ghost.
Yeah, right
And
here.
with other pieces, that's reversed, so it's not easy to remember, unfortunately.
Runners find really goofy ways to remember pieces like that, by the way. Like, for example, for me, I remember that piece because it ends with a period and it is at Church Mountain. And Church is normally a kind of serious place, you know, it's very quiet and a very serious sentence. So there you go, period. So it's over there, but question mark is just the other location. That's how I remember
Yeah. Feel free to use the goofiest ways to remember.
yeah.
it. Yes, whatever helps you memorize it is the best way.
I remember Piner with Burning Mad thinking of burning deodorant as their way of remembering where the piece is, which I'm not even going to describe it. You try to figure out how that works.
Jeez.
And yeah,
That's something.
the only final thing that I want to talk about with this stage is sometimes you'll have a lot of height and you don't need that height. So you just punch off of a platform instead of jumping off, because that'll save you half a second. Just a simple thing of when you get close to a platform, jump off like that. Yeah?
Yeah. And then one more thing, glide resets. Over time, Knuckles starts falling more. So if you
we'll show
drill
that.
dive and then glide again, you can actually slow that glide. You basically put a reset on the timer. Just drill dive and then, yeah, the camera got stuck.
This is
Drill
cinematic.
dive and glide again.
So yeah, this is how fast you start to notice that he's falling a lot faster now. That's how fast it was, like 5 seconds to go down that far of a distance. We just keep doing this. Every second we just drill dive and then glide again. It takes significantly longer for him to go down nearly the same amount of distance.
Yeah.
And the final, whoops, that was a mistake. The final thing to mention about the stage is Falco asked about how many unique pieces are there in this stage. General rule of thumb is there's about 90 to 100 unique pieces for every stage. Somewhere around that. It's a magnitude of 100.
Eventually, it just feels like flashcards. You kind of like
does.
just get used to going through the motions.
Repetition
and-
is key.
And if you have a lot of
Yeah.
anger, you'll remember them very quickly.
Yes.
All right. That's Pumpkin Hill. That's pretty much all you need to know outside of actually memorizing the pieces. Also, wow, this set is crazy.
Yeah, this set is insane. What the heck?
Yeah, I would
Didn't know
like
that could
this.
happen.
It's very surprising that this piece spawned here because this is another one of those ambiguous pieces. It can be either here or Pumpkin Mountain, and those pieces were all just like pretty close together.
Place where you can hear the horn. There's actually another one. You know what? I don't want to keep talking about this.
Nah,
Yeah,
that might
that's
be
fair.
information overload.
Yeah, that would be
right,
just
so-
way too much. But here,
Moving on.
my favorite stage.
Oh no. So it's a cycle-based stage. It's another mech stage, Mission Street. You want to basically be making the cycle that is way further down in the stage. At first, again, don't really worry about it too much. The thing that we're going to be talking about more right now that's more important is the hover ability. We're going to be picking it up right away. Make sure to grab this, otherwise you will not be going very far. The important thing here is you can actually stay upon this top path, but it will be crumbling beneath you, basically. So you want to make sure to get across it as soon as possible. Jump up here right as it's about to fall, and then you can jump around to the hover through these signs. Now, if you want to explain pause hovers.
Before we explain pause hovers, the one thing I want to mention is why did we go all the way up there? It felt kind of strange to go up just to jump right back down. It's because this part of the road is meant to fall. But because we actually grabbed the upgrade in the way that we did, this part never falls. And why is that important? Well, this weight is very amazing, and it's on a local cycle. So as soon as it renders in, it will fall and slam down. We were talking about how it's really difficult to build up speed for tails. Having this long straightaway allows us to have enough speed to be able to get up on top of this weight. And the way we do that is through the pause hovers like Don was mentioning. Basically, if we jump and hover, if we jump and press the jump button again, we hover. Which, if you do it normally, it just allows you to stay up in the air for a bit. But if you do it very close together, you're able to get extra height. And that extra height is extrapolated based on how quickly you press the button, the jump button and the hover button right next to each other.
Yeah, so on the first inputs, you can actually, this might be a little confusing. That is interesting. I've never seen that before. We're learning new stuff in this stream right here.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yes, you can just clip it.
But yeah, so the what you want to do for the first one is you can actually press A and start on the same frame to get jumping and then start. And you won't even see tails come off the ground if you do it frame perfectly.
Yeah.
And then on the next one, you want to unpause and then hit the A button on the next frame to do it ideally. And you don't need frame perfect inputs or anything to make this weight. But if you end up at the right spot and you pause at the right time, it'll become much easier.
Yeah, let me...
It's important to note too that we do call it pause buffering, but it doesn't function as a traditional buffer. It just helps us put the inputs as close together as we can. But like holding like A from the pause isn't going to buffer the hover. You do have to press A after the pause.
Yeah.
And one thing you can do to make this easier, by the way, most runs are done on the Steam version. One of the tips that most runners don't find out about until later, and they're like, oh my gosh, this makes life so much easier, is we bind our pause button to one of the like back buttons on our controller. So like, for example, Trader's playing on a PlayStation 5 controller, so he has it bound to R1. And I play on Xbox, so I bound it to RB. And that way it's just easier on the hands to get to the pause button, because normally the pause button is in a more awkward position.
Yeah. And it's very important to be able to hit it and hit it fast. And that's basically all you're trying to do with these pause hovers. Earlier, we were talking about how we didn't need a good, perfect one here. And that's true. All you need is to do it within the first 5 frames after you unpause, which is surprisingly really easy. It's not going to work 100% of the time, but 5 frames is a lot better than 1 frame.
Yeah, there are very few that are actually frame perfect, but yeah, this one is nice as long as you get the right timing.
And then I'm going to show off the cycles now. Basically, there's two different cycles that we're looking for. There's one that's immediately after that weight, and that's the one that we're going to be trying to get to. The time that we want to get on the... Okay, well that's kind of... Oh yeah, perfect. We get to show off the fact that the bridge falls.
Oh, just kidding.
All right, looks like I'm a cheater.
You
I
went
have
too
a
far.
hacked file. Actually, that's really good information. I didn't know that. That's incredible. Let me try
Yeah, the
that
trigger's
again.
a lot earlier than we thought, I guess.
Yeah, if that's the case, that can
Wait,
just
maybe you
save
can actually
a...
be faster.
Yeah, hold on. Did we just find some?
All right, hold on. We're stopping the tutorial. We're testing some speed strats.
Well, you wouldn't
actually,
have
guys.
hover here though.
Yeah, but...
True.
slow
Oh,
yourself
true,
down.
true. Yeah,
did
there it
fall.
fell. Okay.
Okay.
This is what's supposed
Well-
to happen. This is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, we have a lead.
We have something interesting to test out later on. It's supposed to
Yeah.
fall. It makes it very difficult. You're not able to get enough speed to make it to the weight that we jumped on last time. And that's bad because that weight is the only reason we're able to get a cycle 12 seconds faster. So even though it doesn't really matter what time we get to the upgrade, what matters is making this weight jump. So we're going to have the camera turn. Never mind, the camera's not going to turn. It doesn't matter. I know how to play this stage. We're going to land on the weight. If you did that, you're saving 12 seconds. Just like that. Just make sure to make it to the cycles here. And just go up these nice and calmly. We're just going to keep going up. Here it's going to be, I believe, like a 48 for the fastest cycle. Or 49, there you go. And then we just continue. That's important. If you got a 49 check or a 48, that means you got the fastest cycle. You might see some people get a 43, and that's because they have something that they do. I'm going to open up the upgrade remover. Let's see if we can do that.
Yeah, so you can actually wait in the upgrade so that the cycles still move, but your time stops. And since we use the in-game timer, we're actually lowering that time, right?
Yeah.
So the timer actually stops while we're in the upgrade. As we allow the cycles to push them to be a little bit more risky, it'll actually save us some time.
Yeah, so look at the timer in the top left as I get to the upgrade. You're going to see that it's going to stop at 21, 22 seconds, something around there.
Yeah, and you'll just have to play around with the timing. Like if it's 24, you want to go when it's right ahead of you. 23, you can wait a little bit later. And 22, you want to go with that pink building in the background there.
Oh, I made a mistake.
That's
But
usually
don't
what I
worry
do.
about that.
You can still make this. You can still make it.
You have
just
a
gotta
lot
play it
more
close.
confidence in me than I do, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on how
Oh, there we
risky
go.
you want to play it. But yeah, look, Trader was good. He almost didn't even have to pause over there.
Yeah. And as you can see, I got a 44 check. That means I saved 5 seconds by just staying in the upgrade like that. Of course,
Positioning here really matters, by the way, because Trader just ran past a bunch of missiles and stuff that hit the ground.
Yeah.
You just want to basically align yourself with the left part of that road. That's all you need to know.
yeah. I'm gonna die one more time because I want to show off one more thing that's important. It's the actual cycle. Let me show the actual cycle, and then we can talk about it, because I don't want to mess up the cycle and then it'd be confusing.
Yeah.
Two things to note about cycles in this game. There's like the local cycle on the weight that you saw, and then the global cycle, which is why this whole thing with the cycles even works. The global cycle starts from the very beginning of the stage. It's the platforms, those pillars are always moving. So what we're doing is waiting in the upgrade here so we can get a more favorable cycle for later on in the stage, but we're not wasting any time because the timer's not ticking, and this game is counted in loadless, not real time.
Yeah, and a way Trader put this into my brain is these cycles are so important to learn because it's literally saving as much time as Green Forest Wall Run, one of the hardest tricks in the run.
Yes.
So it's definitely worth, even if it's a little less cool.
After we hit that checkpoint, by the way, this is when the actual... You can lose if you're not going for the actual... the staying inside the weight or the upgrade that you saw us do. You can lose like 5 seconds getting to the upgrade and you'll still be fine and you'll still make the cycle. But here, after you hit that checkpoint that I just hit, now you have only a 1.5 seconds leeway to make the fastest possible cycle. And if you miss it, if you're 1.6 seconds slower than that time that you need, you're going to lose 12 seconds. Or 8, I guess, in this case, if you go for half cycle. But yeah, so you want to be within 1.5 seconds of a perfect run. There's many different ways you can do it. You can jump off there or do a pause hover to get over. Because it's such a kind of safe thing for a lot of top runners, you'll see a lot of different unique movements here. The easiest one here is just destroy all of these pillars of the first 3 waves of them. So you'll see like I destroy 4, destroy another 4, and then I just keep running after that. Actually, you don't need to if you don't want to. But definitely
just destroy this one so the enemy gets taken out, which is really nice.
And then another
One more enemy dropping down here.
And then we're gonna jump down, get to this ramp that I definitely hit.
That was interesting.
Then we're going to move underneath the shadow, hit the switch, jump onto the elevator, do a pause hover, make it to the cycle that is at the back here. This is the cycle we're trying to hit. And I hit the cycle, and we get a 124.
So yeah, if you notice you're not going to make that cycle, you can go for the one up front. But if you see the back cycle, it'll always be faster to take it. But this front cycle here can save you a few seconds. Like in this scenario, you still want to go to the back. It would be faster because if you watch it, it'll beat us up.
Yeah, see? Look, it's already up there way before we get there.
Yeah. But if you barely miss it, you can hop on here and save a little bit of time.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those things you have to feel out over time. For can I make that? Can I not? You'll get more confident with it over time.
If I'm ever unsure, I just sit on the front one and wait to see if the one on the back comes down. And then if it does, I'll just go hover over to it real quick.
Yeah, and if you notice, Trader just did a hover to skip some platforming. It's pretty easy. You just got to do like a quick hover and just jump.
Yeah, if you want to show that off again, actually.
I have a... Let me just die.
Yeah, you got the check.
You got the check, yeah.
So the one thing I want to emphasize here is walls don't exist, but only in certain parts.
Yeah.
You don't want to go into that weird bridge section that's going to fall right there. It looks different. You want to go into this diagonal because look at what happens here. It just pushes you out. You want to go into the part that's slanted, and you want to do a little hover off of this so that you can actually make it that far.
Yeah, you jump and hover. Do you see the part that it's kind of like...
It begins to slope up.
Yeah, it begins to slope up. That's when we can clip in. If you try to do it slightly further back, you'll see that it just pushes us straight down. So
it's kind of counterintuitive because it looks like it would be a harder, like it's higher up. So it's like, you would think that maybe like, oh, maybe I don't want to go for that because I could get pushed out, but that it's actually safer to do it on the curve.
Yeah. And so you just jump and hover and go towards the curved section, and then you're good. The only final thing to talk about here is don't shoot, because there's that military plane that will just explode us if we shoot any of these enemies. And here you just try to keep tails inside the white arrows. And if you do it correctly, switching from holding up left to up right to up left again, or maybe it's the opposite way around, the opposite direction that the floor curves, then you'll be able to stick on it and hopefully not die, because it is actually pretty easy to die there if you slide off.
Yeah, and here just spam shots until you make it all the way to the glory. Pretty much all you got to do. On to the final stage in the first half, and man, my favorite Knuckles stage.
So we may be taking a bit longer than we expected.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, we gotta expedite some of the stuff.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, all right.
Just a little bit.
All we have to talk about... Oh, sorry?
If you need a little bit more time, it's fine. You're not being held strictly to 2 hours.
Yeah, we just don't want to go super far over, and we're about the halfway point.
We're about the halfway point now, an hour and a half in, so...
Yeah.
Realistically, all you need to know about Aquatic Mine is always, no matter what you're doing, go up here, punch this little guy. There might be a piece in here.
There's also a piece floating around that you'll see.
It'll fly around like the perimeter of the edge over here. And the number one thing you want to do, hit this switch. It will lower the water level completely. The water level is super difficult to deal with if you're trying to do it, and it's not worth it. There are a lot of pieces that you need to dig for, and you can't dig underwater. So break that thing, grab a hint, cry because the hint's bad, hit the switch, hit the enemy because the enemy there can have a piece, and it's called Guardian of the Switch, and then just go to wherever the pieces are.
So I will also recommend, while I also say take every piece, one thing you can do here once you've kind of learned them all is reset until you get a green ping at the start, because the ones that don't ping are going to give you rough sets because they're so far away. Also, three fans piece as well. There can be one of those floating at each of the fans there, so keep an eye out for that. Yeah, you can see them all.
Yeah, those are the different ones that can spawn. And you'll see them by turning the camera to the right. And this set is actually really, really good. And that's basically all you need to know is go up top here, hit this switch, break that dude. If you get lucky, get that piece. I don't even know what the piece was. Oh, wooden window on the roof.
Wow.
I got two free pieces.
The two more things we should go over before we move on. I'm down to finish with this set, but two things real quick. Oh my gosh, this is an incredible
What a set,
That's
dude.
so close to like an IL set. Jeez.
It is. So yeah, one thing you just saw Trader do is the sign wall run. So basically, you can jump onto the sign and punch to transfer Knuckles from the sign to the wall. And if you want to keep Knuckles running on the wall for a long time, you can just repeatedly punch on the wall to keep up speed. And this will help you transfer between levels so fast. It's one of my favorite pieces of tech in any... It's so simple, but it's so fun to do. I would definitely recommend messing around with it.
Yeah, and if you are struggling with it, I would say there are certain springs that are better. So if you want to remember a spring that's really good to hit, it's this one, because it gets you very high up very quickly. And there's one last thing that I can talk about. Sometimes you're going to get a piece at the very, very, very top. And this is something that's actually very beginner friendly and will save you a lot of runs if you learn this. Do you notice the pattern on this iron pole? I don't know what it's called. Beam, there you go. You'll notice that I'm running Knuckles around a diamond filled with 4 smaller diamonds. If you go to the center or just below that center of 4 smaller diamonds and you jump and hit glide immediately after while holding down. Okay, well, if I do it that fast, it's not gonna work. If you do that, you're able to grab this pulley. Normally, you're not meant to be able to grab this pulley. They try to make it so that Knuckles will bump his head. That's actually why this little like thing on top of the beam is there, so that you're not meant to be able to do it. But if you do, you don't have to change the water level every time you need to get back up. So
yeah, normally you have to change it to 1.
Yeah. So being able to do this saves a lot of time.
Last thing I will say before moving on is sign clips.
Okay,
They're
yeah.
a little bit difficult, but with water level 3, you
actually-
can get to nearly any piece.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the out of bounds movement for them is a bit difficult because you're gonna have to learn that. But the actual clip is very simple to learn because I learned this from Dark Pro. Basically, imagine the sign and the wall making a little like perpendicular angle. Go and aim Knuckles. Do you see how the wall is like on our left and this goes down to the right? Aim Knuckles so that he faces directly into the corner of these two. And then you just jump and hit glide. And you'll be able to clip straight through the wall.
Yeah, and you can get to other rooms that take forever to get to really quickly.
Yeah.
This is something that you might want to implement later, but it's worth playing around with. What I like to do is aim the camera, so you just have to hold forward and then glide at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like the most important tip I would say if you're trying to just learn this trick, because you can do it with you can do it with any camera angle, but it's just way easier if the camera is directly behind Knuckles. But like as Trader described, it makes like a 90-degree angle. So as long as you have Knuckles kind of in that 45-degree portion where it's like facing to where the two corners of the 90-degree angle meet, it's very easy to clip out.
And I will say one final point about this is certain signs are actually way harder to clip out of than others for whatever reason.
But you can do it on every one. It's just some are harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But most of the ones that you're going to be using are actually pretty easy. Unless you're going to be learning, 80. There we go.
And that is Aquatic Mine.
All right. And then we
My
get
favorite stage.
to Route 101. This is going to be the easiest one to describe. All you got to do is drift. That's all you're going to need to know.
Yes.
Drift and boost. Those are your favorite things. Grab any ring you see. That's my ring route. It's fast. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
here. Okay, real quick, explaining drifting. It's good for two reasons. One, it has a lot of good, basically, properties with speed for us. And also, it's way easier to turn, because right now, we're in a super weird state where it's like kind of hard to make sharp turns, but if you just release the A button and then hold it down again, you can drift. And the cool part about this is your speed is going to stay pretty much exactly the same unless you touch a downslope or an upslope. Obviously, going up, you're going to lose speed. Going down, you're going to gain speed. And a boost. So when you use a boost, you're able to boost yourself up to pretty much top speed right away. And you're pretty much just going to hold this speed the entire time.
Yeah.
And like Trader said, collect every single ring and boost after uphill so you can get your speed back.
Yeah. Another thing to mention is the reason why we really, really love drifting. Not only does it allow us to turn corners fast, we have a higher speed cap. It's literally the difference between 10 units per frame to 15 units per frame. You're going 150% faster if you hold drift after boosting. You're obviously not going to have it forever because obviously there are segments where it goes uphill and you lose speed. But for any like flat location or downhill, you're going to be going way, way faster than if you were just driving the car normally. And
So the
go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say for the like how the boosts work. It is technically you get 20 rings, you get a boost, but it actually doesn't work off of just rings. It actually works off of a point system. And think of a ring as a point. But the balloons that are on pit stops, they give you 20 points, so they give you an instant boost, but they also reset the counter. So that's important to know. And there's one balloon that's like in the center of the road while you're playing Route 101, and that one actually gives you 10. That's just that one doesn't reset your counter as far as I remember, but the ones in the pit stops do.
Yes.
So I mean, that is it's like important to know, just to like manage your boosts optimally. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not really that big of a deal. You should just think about like what Trader and Don said. Just get as many rings as you can and boost after uphills and stuff.
Yeah.
And you should be fine for the most part. But it is good to know that information for the future.
The only thing that I would say is if you're after like this, like I think it's the 50-second mark or wherever it's gonna be here, you'll see a cyan car, I believe. Yeah, this taxi. After you see this taxi, if you have a boost, you can either keep it here or use it. But the most important part is this balloon right here. If you have a boost here, save it. No matter what happens, even if you hit the car and you lost a lot of speed, you're going to go uphill here, and then you're going to go on a massive downhill. And if you don't have a boost on this one, you're going to lose a ton of time because Tails is just going to be stuck without speed all the way up until here. That's a long time.
Yeah, it's like one of the two most important spots. This is the other one. This is like a really big uphill that, well, actually, I mean, I guess it goes downhill here. But.
Yeah, but you lose a lot of speed because of how massive the uphill is. So it is actually really important to keep it for that. And then the rest of the stages, just keep drifting. Just drift as long as you can, and you should be fine.
Yeah,
Right,
there's
I'm
a couple
gonna
like
ruin
more
something.
little complicated stuff, but it's not that important really. It's just to save like small bits of time.
Good job, Trader. We're getting to show up the backwards driving, the GDQ Classic. Also, I want to ruin something for everybody because it was a ruin for me. Sorry. The Tails life icon is just so misaligned with the lives in only this stage.
We almost had the
Trader,
craziest thing
Trader.
I
happen.
actually didn't know that.
Yeah, it's misaligned for some reason. Also, the reason why we freaked out there is if you hit that car as it despawns, it despawns the stage.
Yeah,
so you just can't finish it, and you got to play it again. So that was terrifying, Trader. Why did you do that to me?
Because it would have been
would've been
really funny.
It would have made
been
a
so funny.
great clip. It would have made a great clip.
Yeah, it's actually like frame perfect if I remember.
is.
So it's literally the frame that it despawns. If you touch the car as it does that, for whatever reason, the game goes, "Congratulations, no road for you," and then you fall straight through the floor and die. And then you do it all over again.
Trader, do you know wake route into axle jump? Have you seen this one?
Yes,
Okay. So you destroy the dynamites on the platform and then axle
Chad.
jump.
I lied.
Okay. So I'm going to teach you right here. Okay, so stop when you get on the platform here. Actually, you want to do it. But, here is what the way. So what you're going to do. Also,
I know.
Speedrunner Weg found this. You're no. Destroy the dynamite back there on this platform.
Yeah.
For the
Okay.
third platform.
I know. What you
Okay,
mean.
so
I know
what
it
this
is.
does, there is some really fast strats, but I'm going to teach you the safest and the one that only loses a few seconds, and is like super easy. So you destroy the dynamite here, fall into this platform, break all these walls as you're running through, and then you're going to go over here and pause hover over this wall to the left. Yeah, this wall is kind of a pulley. Try not to drag against it if you can, and go over to this pulley. I know it looks scary, but it is by far the safest way to do this. And it only loses like 3 seconds over the fastest way to do it. So, super worth. I think it's like 3 or 4.
Yeah,
but
it's
still.
3.5 seconds. And if you want to see how fast or how difficult the actual hardest strat for this stage is, it's a nightmare, and there's a reason why people don't really learn it until very late. It's because you have to do a very precise pause hover here, and I missed it quite a few times. Oh no, what's gonna happen? Well, I get this. I do a jump over here. What we're doing is going over in a wall collision, and then we're hoping that the platform cycle here is nice enough to us that we're actually able to land. That saves 4 seconds,
Yeah.
and there's 4 different ways to die.
It's just so not worth it. Please save yourself the headache. I wish I could do the other strat in my runs.
Yeah. It's much more fun to just do the normal strat here. Whoa.
Yeah. And very cool speedrunner, Weg found it. Shout out to Weg. And also Axel Thunder, what the jump is named after there. Two legendary runners combining into a really cool route.
You know what's really funny about the Weg route? Is this movement that you see here? That's the Weg's route of doing this. It came from him watching me do an A rank. Because it's actually the fastest route that you can take for the A rank.
Oh, interesting.
Small note, you
didn't
got to
know
do a
that.
double A press off of that pulley kind of fast to
Yeah.
make that
Yeah.
hover over here.
You
But you
basically,
get a ton of height if you do it right.
Yeah.
and then from here we just jump and skip walking. It's not really that big a time save. You don't need to do that if you don't want to.
Yeah, but it's also not too bad, so I'd recommend at least trying it out.
Yeah, speaking of other things to try out, whatever you do, don't destroy these dynamite packs. It's really slow. Unless you really like destruction and wasting time, there's no point in doing it. Instead, try pause hovering over and landing on this platform. If for whatever reason you don't have enough height, don't worry. All you have to do is go over to the left here. And it's still going to be way faster than destroying the dynamite here. So I'll show you.
I will say that pause hover is deceivingly difficult though, because you need to maintain your speed after jumping off of the pulley and get a good pause hover to make it. So don't feel too bad about bailing off to the left, because even if you do, it doesn't waste much time.
It loses
So,
like a second in that. It doesn't even. Yeah, it probably just
So,
loses a second.
If you can go on that platform, press A, you can actually jump off it if you get the right frame, and it only loses half a second if you can get that.
He's talking about this platform right here.
The top of the pulley, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty precise to get that, but even if you miss it, you don't lose any extra time for trying it and missing it. After
Exactly,
that,
yeah.
we just destroyed the doors here. Fun fact with the doors: don't spam as fast as possible, it's not going to be the most optimal way because these doors act like bosses where after they take damage, they have invulnerability for a bit. So you want to...
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Why did they give them invulnerability frames?
They wanted people to see the cool cracking animation, dude. Come on.
It is cool. I do like it. So it's going to come up right here is why. Because if I were to spam it as fast as possible, let me make a save state here with all the keys out of the way. I think that's their name. If I spam it as fast as possible, this is what happens. It broke, but I was way too close to it before it ever happened, and I didn't get to go through it instantly. So instead, I think I have to restart. Let me... Don't crash, please. Okay, thank you. So what you want to do instead is, this is actually something that I really like. Either you can just land... You know what? Actually, let's just talk about it like this. Land, shoot, and then shoot twice more afterwards, and then you'll be able to go through.
Another way you can do it, what I used to do, if you want to go back, is you can actually run up, jump on that platform to the right, and like, no, not that, just the red platform on the right. And then you can jump, hover over to that, and shoot it.
That?
With a little bit more speed, it's easy.
No, okay.
That's what I would do.
I get what you mean.
But maybe there's a better way.
So, no. This is the old route that they used to do.
This is an older strat.
Yeah. So you would go up here and then shoot like that. And you have so many more bullets to come out way before it actually ends up being an issue that you're too close to it.
Mm-hmm. And that's an older strat you can do. Mm-hmm. But it is a slight bit slower, but maybe more consistent. Again, try it out. See what you like personally, because ultimately that's what it's about.
And breaking things takes a long time, so we try to just jump on every single platform we're able to just break as little things as possible. Which actually is going to come up really shortly right here. We're going to break this door, and here we'd have to shoot 3 dynamite packs and destroy 4 doors or something like that. That's a lot of time.
It's 3, but still.
Yeah.
That's 9 shots.
Yeah, that's way too long. So instead, we're just gonna jump off to the right, do a pause hover up here, and you can just go around like this. Or if you want to flex, go straight through the wall right here and save.
Yep, out of bounds.
Some time. It saves like a second and a half. You just glide over.
Yeah. This game is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Pretty much in places they didn't ever expect the player to go to, the wall isn't solid.
Yeah.
Like there, obviously, they might expect the player to be there, but they don't expect the player to not shoot that platform and then try to jump on top of it and then jump over the wall.
Yeah.
So.
It's basically solid just a bit over where it looks like it's solid. So if you can jump over that, like, yellow line, then you go straight through, which is really cool and useful. I was gonna try something, but it's...
I didn't even know there was a spring there.
That's how you do the IL strat. You die and hit the spring, time freezes, and you're able to finish the stage 12 seconds faster. It's not allowed in Hero Story, so don't tell anyone Trader told you about that. And then we finish the stage.
I did it!
There you go. It's a fun stage. It's a hard one. I would say
it is a very difficult
first movement-wise. And this one is really difficult because you're constantly above a kill plane, and you have some very hard pause hovers.
Yeah. All the desert stages are mostly the hardest stages for each character. Most people can agree with that. Either the hardest or second hardest for them. Pyramid Cave, exactly the same. As soon as you spawn into Pyramid Cave, you're gonna see 3 different little rings over here that Sonic goes through, and the camera switches as Sonic passes that second ring. As soon as the camera switches, you go from holding nothing to holding upright and B, and you will land hitting the speed pad and have a super huge amount of speed compared to, let's show you what would happen if you didn't do that. That's one thing. That would be pretty sad to have happen. Where if you just held forward and do this, you don't even hit the speed pad. And then if you do hit the speed pad, it's just going to be a lot slower.
Yeah, you definitely want to wait till the transition happens. Just makes it way easier.
So this is one big glorified downhill, although it is a little bit more complicated than it seems. You want to keep Sonic in the middle as much as possible, or the lowest point in the hallway, to maintain his speed.
Yes. My visual cue is just stick to the bottom of this red line. Do you see this like red line covered by 2 white lines? Just stay on the bottom of this and you'll have a lot of speed throughout the rest of the hallway.
Yeah.
Don't
Basically,
go
the
over
way
it.
you can think about it is that the slopes are changing constantly. And you want to be trying to go on the downhill as much as possible. And there's always some sort of downhill in these tunnels, but finding them is the hard part and understanding exactly how to navigate it.
Yes, and you'll see top runners get times of like 12 seconds out of this segment. If you get a 15 at first, that's incredible, honestly. Because
Yeah, it takes a lot of time to learn.
yeah,
It seems like such a simple hallway, but runners will, especially starting out, lose so much time to this hallway.
Let me just show an example of me not following the rules and show you what would happen with the time. I did it very fast even then, and it was a 13. That was like best case scenario for someone that's not knowing how to do this strat. But if you learn how to do it, you can get as fast as an 11, and there's, I think, like 3 people that I know of that have gotten 11s before. And then the funniest
And then,
thing...
yeah. Jumping off the hourglass, for some reason, just gives you so much height. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it bounces you off and it gets you all the height here and it saves a lot of time and it's just as easy as it looks. Unlike the opposite,
Yeah.
it's literally the opposite of this hallway. This hallway is significantly harder than it looks, and even top runners are gonna have like some pains with it no matter how many times they practiced it. That's never the case with this. You just jump, hold forward. Look at that. I spin dash jumped and held forward and I'm up here. And that's all you have to do for that segment. And we get to show off one funny thing here called mock bounce. You're gonna see a white dot in the center right here in front of Sonic and this chow box. We're gonna be in the corner and we're gonna charge a spin dash. One thing to know about charging spin dashes is Sonic actually points in the direction that you're holding. So do you see how we can see how... Do you see that we can see Sonic's direction change as I'm moving the analog stick? That indicates where he's facing. And that's really important because you want Sonic to be facing this white dot. If you do that, this happens. You get a ton of height. You don't... I'm not even pressing jump here. Oh yeah?
A crazy thing that we didn't talk about so far, we haven't talked about hover frames, have we?
Nope.
So if you want to show the pause thing, it's kind of cool where you like unpause at the apex or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a thing basically where you know, in games you hold down A longer, you jump higher. The way they coded that in this game is based off of frames. So you have 60 frames, which turns out to be a second in a 60 frame per second game, of hover. And basically you can reactivate it in a lot of different ways. Like a pause, for example, if you press and hold the A button and you still have hover frames, you will just levitate somehow. Sonic can fly for a little bit of time. And another great way that we're going to be using that here is if you spin dash and are holding the A button, you will also use those hover frames, which you can use here to get extra height off of this mock bounce.
So this is with me using hover frames. This is without hover frames. We get to about the eye of that dude. We have hover frames. We go into the sky.
Yeah.
So it's very useful. And basically we're going to use those hover frames because we want to be able to make it onto this. You can either land on here or on the snake. The best place is right here because that's the most distance that you want. You're gonna spin dash jump, spin dash with hover. Even if you don't have hover, you'll make it, but it'll be a bit scary. And then we just hit the ramp and do a light dash. And if the light dash is nice, we'll go the right direction. Yeah?
If I didn't clarify it, when you release spin dash, just keep holding A and you will activate the hover frames. it is very nice and useful in a lot of different spots.
Yes.
All right.
Very funny
and,
small note is quickly is that speed pads in this game, they don't all have the same speed value even if they're next to each other. So funny enough, in that like first double speed pad that's in that hallway, you want to hit the right one and not the left one because it's faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a huge mega dock of it somewhere of every speed pad value, and they're just ridiculously different.
Yeah.
Also, Bounce Bracelet, the most broken upgrade in the game. As you just saw Trader do, the Super Bounce. This is probably one of the first tricks you've ever seen from this game. Super broken. Basically what's happening is you are bouncing into a wall, and it's converting your horizontal speed into vertical. And you can absolutely break the game by doing this.
Yeah, we'll just skip past that weird mushroom key. We don't want to deal with that.
Ain't no way
Yeah,
they
so-
thought the players were getting up there, so you can just very cleanly get through that wall up there.
Yeah.
And not only that, there's
First
a
door
mushroom
skip.
over here. You have to go all the way over here, go get this mushroom, avoid this ghost or get hit by it, and then pick it up. And actually, none of this matters. This is really slow. We don't like that. So instead, we're just going to do something way cooler, and it's called ignoring the laws of physics. I could have worded this better.
Let's go with that. It sounds good enough.
Yeah, anyway, basically what we're gonna do is there are these 3 tiles on the floor, and we're going to stand directly in the center of all 3 tiles, charge a spin dash, and hold forward. We're gonna release the spin dash and jump because we don't want to get hugged by that ghost in particular. He's very neat. He just disappeared. Okay.
Whoa. That's
He is a ghost
interesting.
after all.
Yeah. Fair enough. This is actually really, really good. This saves more time than Green Forest Wall Run does.
Yeah.
So,
And it's not that bad. It's just a spin dash jump in the right location.
Yeah.
Just make sure you charge your spin dash for long enough, because some people make that mistake and they don't have enough speed,
yeah.
and then they won't make it through.
Yeah, I will say this is still a precise clip out. It's just there's very easily seen visual cues that will
Yeah.
help you. And as long as you're holding straight and again, charge your spin dash enough, then it should just be a simple spin dash jump holding forward and you'll make it through the crack in the door.
If you can notice, there is actually like a very slight gap here that you actually do go through. But it's very precise, but thankfully, because of the way the camera's facing and where these tiles ended up, all you have to do is hold forward and jump. It's gonna be, the biggest issue is going to be one of 2 things. Like M said, charging the or I think it was Don. I don't know who said it exactly, but
Don said it first,
okay, yeah. Charging the spin dash is going to be the number 1 thing, is making sure that you charge the spin dash. And the number 2 thing is it's actually really difficult to do the jump because you have about like 5 frames to make this jump in time. And it's a pretty evil timing at first. This is where you're going to learn to do spin dash jumps really well. And then after that,
Luckily, it's very easy to set up again. If you miss it, it is so worth it to just try to keep going for it
Yeah.
rather than going to get
Yeah.
the key.
It is genuinely a major skip, even if it's very simple.
it's the easiest major skip you'll learn. Yeah, I don't think there's any easier one than this. I've taught people that did not even know the game, this strat, in about 5 minutes. So it is very worth it. After you hit this hourglass here, fully charge the spin dash and do like we did in the previous one. Try to stick as low to the ground as you can.
This tunnel is so difficult. This
is.
is like even really good runners will lose a lot of time.
Yeah.
And a lot of time being like maybe like a couple of seconds or a few seconds. But
Yeah, I think most top runners have spent at least one session of like 20-30 minutes working on that tunnel, plus all of the IO attempts that they do.
And
It is just very difficult.
And the average time that a top runner gets is 2 seconds slower than a good time for that hallway. It's just ridiculous how difficult it is. I mean, Em was practicing it earlier today.
yeah, I was literally
yeah.
practicing it earlier today and Trader was coaching me a bit. He was like, "You're undercharging your spin dash and like not getting enough speed." And I was like, "Oh, wait, you're actually so right."
Yeah, and it's not even
Because you keep that for a while.
Yeah, it's not intuitive. It's very difficult to learn this hallway. But after that, we get something very nice and easy. There's two different ways you can do this. You can just go through normally and fail, because I've not done casual things in quite a while. And then go over here, blah, blah, blah. You get funny things here. Or instead...
I thought you were about to show off X skip.
You want me to show off?
No. I mean, it is cool.
It's okay.
You go over here, stand on the tile. These tiles are really nice. We use this, and then you go upright and charge a spin dash. Charge the spin dash as soon as you're going upright, rather than when you get on the snake.
Yeah, remember, spin dash does take a little bit to charge, so the best thing to do here is to preemptively hold B before he gets up there. But after Sonic has taken a few steps to build up some speeds, that way you actually get on top of it. And then once you're actually in spin dash, Sonic will stay on the snake pretty nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then...
So similar to loop speed, how I was saying that it basically takes your Sonic's gravity and pushes it down, whatever Sonic's down is. Us putting Sonic on this snake makes his down direction almost completely horizontal. As long as you keep up the speed, you can send him down with bounce and make it all the way across that gap. It's a very fun skip. It's not incredibly difficult, but it will probably take you some time. Again, try it out. If it's too difficult, don't go for it. But if you think it's really cool and want to do it, go for it. I'm not going to tell you not to. It's awesome.
Just know it saves like 7 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's like, it basically, if you fail it, don't feel too bad about it. Like if you die to it maybe once, just do it normally, I guess, the next time, you know?
Yeah. It's worth learning, though, for sure.
And there used to be an old challenge on this strat in particular, and it was a great way to learn to do this way better and understand how this gravity actually works. And the challenge is go to the second snake instead of the last one and see if you can make it the distance here.
Interesting.
So you go from here, try to make the distance. It's much tighter, and if you're able to do it, it means you've fully mastered the gravity. Fun fact, you can go even further back and still make it.
Wow.
That
one's tough, though.
It's very, very precise. So if you can do that, not only have you mastered it, you have too much information about this strat.
True. Yeah, you should definitely be doing it at that point.
Yeah, if you can do it, it's just very impressive. And then we just keep going.
Yeah. And the rest of the stage is pretty simple.
Yeah.
Quick super bounce here. You can do another skewed gravity thing off of the snake here to save a little bit of time, get on the rail faster. Or you can just kind of land on it.
And that showcased bouncing on rails, because bouncing on rails is always very fast mode.
It is fast.
Yeah. Let me go back and show that. And then
one more thing. We can talk about homing or bouncing cells.
Yeah,
this is like the third thing.
This is the most.
So this is something that the bounce bracelet gave us access to. It's the fastest way to like accelerate Sonic to get him moving quickly. So you just while you're in the air, all you're gonna do is bounce, and you're gonna homing attack right before you hit the ground. It's like kind of, I don't know what the frame window is to make it work, but it gets Sonic moving a lot quicker than if he were to just be running on the ground or like trying to charge a spin dash from a standstill.
Yeah. The frame window, it depends on how high you jump. If you jump really high, you have quite a few frames to do it. And at the beginning, this is how I used to do it, is I would jump really high and then do a bounce excel. So I would jump, bounce, and then press A. Because it's actually, you'll see runners, if they're panicking, they'll bounce quite a few times, and it's because they're messing up the bounce excel.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot when you're panicking. So giving yourself a bit more time to be able to do it consistently, that's perfect. Get to a comfortable height that works for you very consistently, and it's going to help you a lot for the later sections.
Yeah, it's a very fun strat.
The final thing that I want to mention is this game is a little bit funny in the way that it works, and what do I mean by that? When you jump and homing attack, you're able to homing attack if you're above the ground, but low, or if you get lower than, let's say, this height, Sonic, if you try to homing attack from this height, the game will just eat your input. You won't actually homing attack. So I'm showing it off right now, but I don't have an input display to show that off. You're seeing that nothing's happening. I'm actually pressing the button every time I'm getting close to the floor, but I am homing attacking. But it's just
That's why it's kind of nice to jump higher too.
Yeah, so that it's because it looks more lenient than it actually is. So you really do want to have a bit more height. A loop speed.
Also, one more
here.
skewed graph.
Yep.
Or you could just do a loop skip, jump over the dash pad, and jump to the ramp. It's not that much slower.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Death Chamber.
Now the hardest knuckles stage. Awesome.
Wow.
So
There's so much to
man,
talk about.
We're not going
is.
to talk about
So,
a lot.
I'm gonna tell you my advice for how you should do this stage. What I was saying before, take every hint, find the piece. The nice thing that you can do is you can take the piece 1, sniper. Where is that? I have no clue. Let's read another hint and figure out.
Yeah.
Now this stage is separated into 3 different colors. This is the red room we just spawned into. To the right we have the blue path, which, hey, that's where it's at. And to the left we have the green path. And if you see something called core, that's where we are right now, right in the center.
Wait, we should look at the map. It's right
Okay,
Yeah,
there.
we
Hold
should
on,
look at
hold
the
on.
map.
You can
It's
just
right
have him
above
climb on the wall
okay.
and have him look at
Yeah.
it.
That worked. That doesn't
So yeah,
okay, there we go.
There you go. So right now it shows us we're leading towards the blue room, and if you weren't sure based off of the sign and walls and stuff, you can look at that. We just came from red room. We're in core. This map can help you at first if you're unsure of the stage, and we have made maps that are more accurate to what it is, because this is a little bit deceiving actually, but it is a good indication.
I just want to point out, the stage has to be really confusing for them to have to put maps literally every segment of the stage. There's a map here, there's a map down here, there's another map up there.
And what's funny is,
they
as a
knew it was
kid,
bad.
I ignored them all.
They really did not trust that you would memorize the stage, and you know what? They were 100% right. This stage is really confusing. At first, it was
But
like,
yeah, please take multiple hints because it will help you.
yeah, there's tons of hints in this stage. Like literally, there are 2 right next to each other in here, like one on the left side, one on the right side. There's another hint here. They put hints everywhere because they know just how many you're going to be using in this stage, and it's perfectly fine. And if you don't know where a hint is, let's say you get a piece. This is my advice for any runner. If you don't know where a piece is in a stage and you need another hint, you don't have to stay next to the closest one because there's a cooldown for them. So instead, go towards the center of the map and get a hint closer to the center of the map, because when you're at the center, everything is equidistant apart from you. So it's not going to take too long to get to any possible location. Sometimes it may lose you time, but way more often than not, it's going to save you time to go towards the center. And that's my advice for that.
So do you want to talk about death strats?
Sure.
Is that worth it?
I think it's worth it just for specifically, we're not going to explain much about the death strats. All we're going to mention is if you get a piece in the blue room, you can die, and there's a very high chance that your next piece is going to be right where you spawn in, like right there.
There you go.
Like that.
So yeah, that is very worth doing. And while I do recommend learning every piece because it's going to help you in the long run, this is so fast.
Yeah.
It's important
As you
to
can
note
see.
that when you die, the piece locations change. So let's say that like he accidentally died while trying to get
Yeah, we can
that
show that
piece
off.
for some reason. It will reload elsewhere. But try not to reset. When we do death strats, actually, we get the first piece first, but when you reset the level, you'll notice that we have to collect the first piece again. So if we're trying to re-roll the pieces, it's best to die
Yeah.
to get them to change locations.
I got so lucky, but unlucky
Yeah,
in
so-
the worst way.
Yeah, basically, don't restart the stage, and there's a reason that we call them death strats. Because if you restart, you will lose all your progress.
Yes.
What clips do you want to show off? I would say maybe green door clip and booty clip.
Yep.
I would say. Okay. So you can do the box clips there, like Trader tried to. They're a bit more difficult, so I'd recommend waiting for them to do it later. But basically, you glide upon the above the box and drill dive into the box, and the box will push you out of bounds. Is the gist of it. If you want to try it out,
Yes.
you can do it in red and blue.
I'll show that off soon, but I just wanted to show off. Okay, this time we loaded in and we didn't have a piece, so we're going to die again. And look at that. Now we got ourselves a piece that's in this room. It is worth it to die multiple times if you have the lives, because it saves way, way more time than taking whatever your first death strat piece is. And then there was a clip called Booty Clip, and this is why. It's because you go to the back of the beauty box, you go Golden Goddess, and
We don't need to explain why this is called booty clip.
It's like treasure.
It's just a funny name.
It's
we
it's
found the
treasure.
treasure.
yeah, yeah. That's wouldn't that be for the okay? Sure, yeah.
Use the treasure to clip out.
Yeah,
You basically
okay.
put Knuckles on the wall here, and you can, when you climb downwards, you can get between the wall and the box. And actually, if you hold neutral after or Knuckles lands, you can then jump. And then when I keep trying to say Sonic, when Knuckles visually is above the ceiling, you can actually just glide out of bounds. And what that allows us to do is there are these quote unquote secret rooms, as the game refers to them, and you go to like the different paths, either between red and blue or between red and green, or in the blue room. There's also like a dig portrait like this. There are two of the secret rooms positioned directly behind you in the spawn, and then the red-green secret room is off. It's actually where you would think it would be for the red-green secret. It's like kind of like out of bounds next to it.
Yeah.
So what we do is we can booty clip here. For a lot of P3s will spawn out in the secret rooms, and we just fly straight backwards, and you can see the blue secret room here, and then the red-blue secret there. And it's a lot faster to go directly behind you from the spawn to get to those pieces. That's the red-green secret room, by the way. But yeah, it's a lot easier to go from the spawn and clip out of bounds to go to these rooms than to go to where the portraits are, to where you dig through to teleport to them.
yeah.
This clip is your best friend. It is so big and so easy to do. Definitely learn this one.
And it's very
It'll save
easy
so
too.
much time.
It's very, very easy to do.
Once you learn it, it's going to be the majority of what you're going to be doing at first until you learn how to do
Box clips.
blocks clips. We're going to Roblox anyway.
Roblox.
Yeah.
Life is Roblox.
Instead, there's one other kind of clip that we can do that's very useful. I didn't mean to actually get it there.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
That's how easy it is.
Remember the sign clip? It works very similarly, except instead of a sign, we use the door. And then we
Just aim for the corner. A little bit more towards the door, not directly into the corner.
Yeah, you want to aim towards the door. Instead of having like a 45-degree angle, you kind of want to have like almost exactly on the door and just slightly into the wall. So
Yeah.
like a 80.
You can do it now.
80 degree. Yeah, you can do it without the door actually fully closing, by the way. You can actually go for it. So let me show that off.
Yeah.
This is extremely useful for getting to in between like
And now
the
I'm bad
red
at
and
it.
green rooms, or you can use it to get to the room that's kind of positioned to the right from here. That's like lower than the green room. It's like kind of like if you're facing the core, it's the left side. It's down over that way. There's some pieces that can spawn down there, and that's way faster to clip out of bounds to go from core than to run through green.
Yeah,
And
because
go down.
you have to run through all this to get there.
Yeah. It'll save you a lot of time, even if you move really well.
Oh god, wait, hold on, I'm gonna sneeze. I'll be right back.
But
Never
yeah, I
mind it,
think
like
that's
it.
about it for Death Chamber.
I did
Great.
want to mention that it doesn't work on every kind of door. If you notice, this door
yeah.
is thinner than Knuckles is wide. So instead of clipping through, he will clip in very quickly and then clip right back out on the side that you were on.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work everywhere. And it actually doesn't work in quite a lot of locations. Here, example.
Yeah. That one door out in core is pretty much the only one that we consistently use.
Yeah. This one's like the most useful because as you can see, it's very deeply inset into the wall, which is what allows us to clip out in the first place. Or not clip out in the first place, but stay clipped out.
And I think that's about it for Death Chamber. Yeah, outside of the box clips, which we did briefly explain.
Anything else is like kind of in depth. That
right.
is the most difficult hunting stage because there's so much depth to it and like in decision making, understanding like set knowledge. And yeah, I mean, even now, like I've been speedrunning this game forever, but I could spend a lot more time in Death Chamber trying to learn to get better at it, you know? So
I'll put it this way. I could write multiple research papers on that one stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
it
been
wouldn't be
multiple
ridiculous.
research papers on it. I
Yeah,
swear.
it wouldn't
Look-
be a reach.
Yeah.
but you don't have to worry about that. You just got to get the pieces. That's basically it.
All right. I'm not going to show the like fastest variant of this because it's probably not necessary, but I can show you first off the most important thing. This boss fight is the longest boss fight by far in this game. He looks really happy. He's just eating your time. That's why he's got such a big mouth. He's there to eat a lot of your time. So what you want to do is make sure that you can get him in all the hits within one cycle of him being vulnerable. What does that mean? Basically, he's going to have an invulnerable period where he just throws fireballs. 1, 2, 3, and then a fourth one. After he throws that fourth one, you want to go around behind him, spook this little ghost, and then he'll become vulnerable. He's inside the ground here, and we're going to jump and glide and punch like we did before to get speed for Knuckles, and we're going to do it again to hit him. After you hit him, you're able to hit him 3 more times if you do it fast enough. What you want to do is hold directly up left. And if you're holding directly up left, after he stops flashing, he's vulnerable again. Then you're able to punch again. If you don't want to actually time it based off that, you'll notice that one thing you can do is the hourglass will appear. Actually, it's fine. Let's not worry about that too much. You punch him again, punch him again. You want to be within a certain frame to be able to get those hits. This is actually the faster strat. As you can see, it's a bit spooky, and if you miss, you just waste
It's brutal.
like 13 seconds because of something like that.
Yeah.
So,
It is worth noting that if you mess up this cycle that we're trying to do, where we get all the hits at one time, it is absolutely faster to reset the fight and try to go for it again rather than waiting for him to go around again, because he throws more fireballs the more times he's been hit,
yeah, so you hit him,
and it wastes a lot of time.
You want Knuckles to be running between his little weird T-Rex arm and the tail that he has. That's the perfect place to punch him again. If you're too far behind, you'll miss and you won't be able to hit him, and you lose a lot of time trying to catch back up. And if you punch him too far forward at his little T-Rex arm, he gets upset and turns the opposite direction, and it's basically impossible to catch back up with him.
The way that I like to visually think about this is if you break his body into quarters, like
my
little columns
God.
from front to back.
Poor little dude. I didn't hate him that much.
No. Well, if you just like picture there's like, he's broken up into like 4 sections. You want to hit him from like, there's like, picture the middle one. There's like a middle line. You want to hit him at the 3rd section from the front, because if you hit his tail, it's too far away. And if you hit like past that middle point, he'll do that flip thing. So that's how I've always kind of pictured it.
And right now,
Yeah, you can see how painful this cycle is, by the way, because it's been almost 40 seconds since we've last been able to hit him.
Yes.
And we're just now getting a chance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you could literally replay the entire boss in that time if you feel confident in your ability to do it in one cycle.
Oh, and then this part. I forgot that he's harder
Whoa.
to chase down too after multiple hits.
Yeah.
You're able to... Yeah, the entire stage or boss fight takes about 40 seconds, and that's if you get the one cycle. If you get all the hits except for one, it's so much faster to reset because it takes literally double that amount of time for that last cycle alone. And Don has something that he wants me to show you here.
So here, I would show off casual first and like how to do that fast. If people really don't want to do strats, because okay, there is a super bounce here, but you can see that wall is super tiny, so it's really hard to do. So if you want to do casual here, you wait for him to swing, you head out to his back, and then you can land on these. Just wait for them to actually start coming out before you jump. Oh yeah, see, that one didn't even come out. But yeah, basically you want to just rinse and repeat this, and we can show you the last strat. But yeah, that's the gist of it. You do that over and over. Now, if you want to show off profit bounces a little bit, this is a super bounce.
So
Very tight frame window.
yeah, it's about 5 frames. You have to uncharge a spin dash, jump, and then bounce. If you get that,
Yeah.
you get enough height to make it. If you mess up, it'll look something like this, and you get thrown down to the bottom. Or a slightly worse, better variant is you just don't get height, which you're able to save if that happens. But
That is the fastest but hardest method for sure.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, if you want to show off how profit bounces work, I can teach you my method after.
okay,
So what I do is I line up right in front of that little T. So like I would line up more than you do, more forward than you do there, right there.
Yeah.
And then aim at the center, where the platforms meet, and you'll hit the edge and get a mock bounce. This thing is really nice. It is very powerful, and this isn't Trader's main strat, so I'm kind of making him teach something he doesn't really know exactly. So my bad.
It looks like he's doing the super bounce there, but literally all he's doing is positioning Sonic, charging a spin dash, and letting go while holding forward, and that's it.
Instead of it being a 5-frame window to do 3 different inputs or 2 inputs, you have infinite frames. You just have to let go of B. That's all you got to do. As long as you position correctly, you just let go of B. And if you know how to do it, you'll actually get flung into the air like that.
Do you want to try my method, or do you just want to learn the last 2 hits and move on?
No. We can do your method. Let me.
Okay, so I would exit out.
Yeah.
Then. So what you're gonna do when you load in, you're gonna immediately restart, and then you're gonna delay hitting the A button. You're gonna let that cutscene play out for like a quarter of a second, and then move to the right platform and profit bounce. So now delay your A press it, and then go to the right. Usually I go to the right side, but it doesn't really matter.
I'm good at direction.
Sorry, I'm teaching you live.
No, you're good.
I'm teaching you live.
All right, so we do this,
It's gonna take a few
delay,
attempts, I'm
and then go here, and then miss it. That's fine.
Yeah, so, and you actually manipulated him to hit to the left, but normally you have time to move over first.
Yeah.
But what that does, that restart actually slows Egg Golem down, so you're able to get more bounces off before he's able to attack.
Yes.
And delaying the A press on the second load makes it so that he will actually swing to the left, so you will get knocked to this platform on the right. And it makes it way faster for whatever reason, just because he doesn't have to turn. I don't know why it works that way, but it does technically manipulate his AI. And then you can get 3 bounces off in about 12 to 13 seconds.
Yes.
It's really fast.
To put into
which I don't know if we'll be able to show it off. But
Absolutely not.
it's all good.
But to put it into perspective, he said it was 12 to 13 seconds. What can you get with perfect super bounces is like around 10.7. So it's very slightly slower, and it's way more consistent if you know the strat. Because there's no stress about getting high bounces like this where you have the aura still. Because if you have this aura, you're not able to bounce down. And that wastes time, so you're stuck in the air, as well as you don't have to worry about even hitting a super bounce, and that's the best part. And then we finally have this strat. Egg Golem is going to slam his fists down to the left and right platforms of you. So right now I'm on this blue platform. He's going to slam his fist down in the air and on the platform to my right. After he does that, he's going to headbutt the platform that I'm on. So slams this down, and then he's getting ready to slam his head down. Cool thing he doesn't understand, there's a weakness on top of his head. So what we're going to do is we're going to move off of this blue platform and make our way over to, you can still be on the blue platform, but stay very far off the edge of it, going over to the red platform and do a double bounce. Bounce twice, and then we're going to homing attack to hit the weakness that he has. Just like that. And then Sonic is going to land on his arm here. As he's going down and or falling down, hold down right, and as soon as he lands, go from holding down right, charge a spin dash, and move your angle to be just straight down. And then once the spin dash is fully charged, hold up and spin dash jump. So that's a lot of things. Basically, you're just going to charge the angle down right, charge a spin dash, and then jump holding forward.
And land on his arm, stay on his arm, and spin dash jump up to Egg Golem's head. Kind of hard to do segmented like that.
Yeah, because
but yeah, we'll try to show that off one more time. If
It
that
is
starts
also
hard for you, you can literally just run off to the other side of him and like just play it casually and hit his back, because he's still going to be recovering from the last hit, you know?
I'm not
He will always do this headbutt slam thing after 3 hits, by the way.
Yes, after the 3 hits, he'll always do this.
You're not going to be able to show it off here.
No, you
I
are.
was going to say, oh wait, you can. Okay, cool, never mind. I am mistaken.
There
you go.
So what Don is referring to about why I wouldn't be able to show it off there, the game will throw Sonic off after that hit, after the 3rd hit where he does the headbutt, 2 platform spaces to the left or to the right, depending on where you bounce off.
Yeah.
If there is a gap where you're meant to be jumping, it'll actually send you over 3. And if you get sent over 3, Sonic won't actually land on the arm. So
Yeah, I forgot that it works there, actually, because that's how I always do it anyway, so I don't know how I forgot.
so it would be like right here.
Yeah, this wouldn't work. You'd have to go on the higher platform.
Yeah, see-
and then it sends you around. One more thing that I want to mention: if you're behind Egg Golem when he's choosing an attack, in the
Sure.
back half of him, he's gonna do a spin attack.
Yeah,
Like that. You'll see the electricity, and he'll do a spin. It takes so long. I mean, you could even try beating him now too. He literally waits to the end of the attack to actually like start his like defeat animation. Look at that. He just decided he had another 5 seconds.
And then he's like, oh wait,
An
oh they hit
explosion.
me, ooh, I actually hurt.
Super delayed.
Yeah, the amount of time that one attack takes is as long as it takes to do a optimal Egg Golem.
Yeah.
So if you mess it up,
crazy.
it basically doubles your time. Just restart. If it really matters, it's just like restart right there. All right.
So this stage, I'm going to recommend just learning the skip here because the stage is really hard
Yes.
and very long. And this is one of the biggest skips in the game. And it's also one of the easiest, I would say.
Yes.
It's going to take you some time to learn, but I'm going to recommend it. It's actually harder on the first attempt. But luckily for us, there's a checkpoint right next to it that actually just makes it easier.
So this is the
And it's
first
because of
attempt.
box spawn order. I'm not going to get into the science of it. And he got it first try. Look at this guy. He's flexing.
Yeah, I'm flexing because it's not a run. If it was a run, I never hit it.
Yeah. So first try is harder, and Trader's getting it every time. But yeah, so if you want to show the checkpoint, if you miss the strat, you can hit this checkpoint and eject yourself out the airlock Among Us style. And then, once you line up for the trick again, it'll actually be much easier and way, way, way more consistent.
Yeah.
To actually... Oh, man, that's unfortunate. You hate to see that. To actually explain the trick itself, though, usually this black box is supposed to push you out of bounds.
Yes.
If what happens to Trader happens to you there, that just means you didn't have enough speed
Yeah.
to clip out of bounds. So give yourself a little bit more distance then for the next attempt.
So here's something that I'm going to try to showcase. It's going to be a bit difficult to do it live. I do have a tutorial for this and explain it in better depth. What happens is when you shoot a box, do you notice that a green box appeared that doesn't exist there? That's actually the collision of the black box falling, and the whole reason why we need to break both boxes for this strat, because the collision of the box as it's falling and where it's going to fall to is loaded at the same time. So even though I broke a box, you would think that there's a gap there. There isn't. There actually is no gap in the collision because of breaking only one box. So you need to be able to break both boxes at once. I'm gonna try to do it here off to the side. It's gonna be a few tries to do it. And you'll notice that there's going to be a gap if I break both boxes. There you go. I paused a little late, but as you can see, there's a gap between the boxes. And in the time frame before this box makes it all the way down, we're trying to get that circle that's around tails into that small little gap. And if you do it correctly, you'll be flung through the actual room.
Yeah. So basically, you want to hug the left wall as much as you can. Well, not as much as you can. You want to hug it barely, because it'll slow you down if you're on it too much. But if you're not on it enough, it's going to push you out to the right and not even give you a chance to get into that gap. And you also want to have as much speed as possible. So one thing that can help is switching to up as you're breaking the box. It's something that I've found is really helpful. I don't know if everyone does that, but it's something that I like a lot.
There you go. If you want to have some technical knowledge about this strat, the place that you want to jump at is, hold on. All right. Do you notice it's going to say hover frames over there? And in like the center, it says the hover frames. That's the amount of frames that we held the A button for. You're going to want it to be anything that is 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, or 8 is how many hover frames you want to be holding it for. And we're going to be jumping where the position is between 1780 and 1809. This requires a 2-frame jump, so it's going to be really difficult. I didn't get it. The game crashed, but don't worry about it. We'll get back to there very quickly. That's the thing that happens if we use the save state too many times.
Yeah, I think what happens is if you're inside the boxes where they're supposed to be, sometimes the game does not like that.
Yeah.
When it tries to reload them.
I did have a save file
here whenever you can.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, I think you made it lower. I would just look for the one that says egg golem. Yeah.
It says death
Don't
chamber.
forget to
That's
stream
a
to
shame.
us.
Yep, we're gonna go stream.
But yeah, definitely mess around with the clip out. It's pretty hard, but like I mentioned, if you're struggling, respawn from the checkpoint, and it'll be much easier.
Yes.
Make sure to get enough speed so that pivot will be helpful. And then also, there is so many tutorials out there for the skip because it is just such a big one. Definitely, if you're struggling and you need more information, look it up. It's so worth.
Yeah, and
there's
don't
many
let like the stuff like the
tutorials.
values and stuff overwhelm you. It's not that difficult of a trick. It's just you just gotta get a feel for it over time, and you'll be fine. It skips so much of the stage. You're gonna see the next part now when Trader clips out of bounds here, but it's so
Thankfully,
worth.
the hard part is clipping out. So if you can do this, even by accident, the rest of this is going to be really easy. If you do this and it's your second try, this is even the first try, all you're going to do is hold forward. All right? You're just going to keep holding
Hover and
forward.
And hover.
Yeah, you're going to
Yeah,
hover and
you
hold
gotta hover.
forward. Yeah, it's pretty important. Yeah, hover. As soon as you clip out, hover, and then hold forward. The camera is going to go underneath tails. If you get it first try, the camera's going to be really slow and kind of mess with you. If you get a second try, it's going to whip around. As soon as it starts moving, you let go of the analog stick, continue hovering, and the camera will flip. Now, this is the hardest part of the out of bounds. you have to hold down now. Crazy, I know. You had to hold forward. Now you have to hold down,
Wow.
and you just continue holding down.
Yeah,
It's very
it is
common-
really important. Sorry, go ahead, Em.
I was just going to say it's very important to know that if you do mess up that camera movement there, which will commonly happen to people, just try to align yourself kind of where Trader is with the out of bounds stuff that's on Tails' right now.
Yes.
And make sure you're going along it kind of around this pathing. You don't want to fly too close to it and you don't want to fly too far away from it.
Yeah. If you notice buildings popping in and out, that's a good sign. If you see them stay for a very long time, it means you're too close and you need to hold left, because you're going to just have you might miss the whole stage if you go too far to the right. Or if you don't see any buildings popping in at all, you're way too far to the left and you need to hold right. In this example, I'm actually too far to the left, so I'm going to hold slightly down right here. And you're gonna see a matrix tube appear right there. As soon as we see it, we're dropping straight down. And there is an invisible collision that we're standing on. From here, we're going to walk directly left, and we're gonna fall off and we're gonna hover. Directly to our right is the goal ring. You can't see it because the game really likes this location.
Yeah, maybe move forward a little and it'll fix a bit.
Yes, there you go.
So that wall.
This is where the goal ring is. If you hit it from the back, it will. God, my brain just froze. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
If you hit it, if you hit the wall, it will get you to finish the stage.
Yeah, and some of the collision is a bit weird, but if you walked directly off to the left from this floor, you will not have that much trouble on it.
Yeah.
You could just fall pretty much straight down to the right. And if you're unsure, just, move around until you can see better. And then aim for the sparkles and that wall right there.
I will say, basically, this is the easiest way to... This is my little tip for you. If you can't see yourself, that means you're in a good location. If you immediately drop and can see yourself, it means you're in a bad location, because the camera isn't meant to follow you at the beginning. Because let me show you a bad location. If you can just drop here. If you see yourself, that's a bad location.
Yeah.
So you want to go...
Unless you see that wall too, because sometimes you can see right away if you're forward enough.
Yeah, if you... I guess, if you're forward enough, it will sometimes work out. I'm standing on nothing, by the way.
If you're scared of this out of bounds, you could also just clip inbounds, but it's really slow because you have to destroy stuff. But it's an option.
Yeah, if this is...
And it still saves a lot of time over playing the stage normally to clip in.
This stage, normally, if you play it, takes 2 minutes and 50 seconds, 2 minutes 47 seconds, if you do it perfectly. There's cycles that you have to avoid, tons of enemies and explosives that will mess you up completely. But if you do EE skip, which is the old version, which we didn't show off, you'll save 40 seconds. This strat saves 40 more seconds on top of that skip. And it's the easiest one to do.
Yeah. So definitely recommend learning this.
So this is what you would do if you want to clip in. You would just go... The audio completely died. I don't know what happened there.
It sounds so distorted.
Oh.
All right.
Oh, the goal ring's not there. That's funny.
Oh, I bet you might have grabbed it in free movement.
Yeah, I think I grabbed
There's
it.
a
That's exactly
whistle
what
there?
happened.
Yeah, there's a whistle.
There's a pipe. Oh my gosh.
Wait, what? I didn't
so-
know that was
okay.
there.
So don't worry.
What do we do now?
I'm gonna restart the stage and you get to see it in full.
All right, yeah, we get a full walkthrough of the stage if you want to see it all in motion. Yeah. So I guess we could talk about how to move out of bounds slightly more optimally. Not the super hard way, but if you want to pivot to the right a little bit earlier or later, I guess.
I'm gonna do it with the first try to show off. Oh well, okay, I didn't need to do the save state.
Yeah, you're really showing off, Trader.
Yeah.
He's just too good.
So remember how I mentioned? Remember how the camera whipped around? This is how it is if you get it first try. look at how slow it's moving. And there we go. We let go of the camera stick and we go.
Yeah.
And we're just holding down.
Yep. And one thing you can do is you can look at the stuff that's disappearing. And if you look at a very specific collision, you can actually kind of time it based off of that. I think everybody does it slightly different, but one way that I know is there's going to be this wall right there. When that disappears, and I usually am a little bit lower, so it might be different, but since that wall just disappeared at 107, at 112, 5 seconds later, you can start moving to the right very slightly. And then that'll end up putting you right next to the goal ring, that matrix tube, after a few seconds. So that you don't have to like wait to see it and then move to the right.
Yes. You said 5 seconds after. There's actually a collision that you can see that pops in exactly at that time.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, on the far right, there will be collision that appears on that time. It's very far off to the edge, and if you want to see exactly what I mean, it's in the tutorial. I show exactly what it looks like, and you hold to the right immediately when that pops in. And if you do this properly, you can get a time 1 minute and 17 seconds. It's a very fast stage. And the cool thing is, if you learn this strat, you can get times as good as the top runners immediately, because all it is just out of bounds movement. So you'll probably be like a few seconds off at the beginning, but you can literally learn to be as fast as the top runners immediately. Like today, if you wanted to, you could learn it and get a time as fast as us.
Yeah, it's a not too bad of a stage. Just like this one, it's very RNG heavy. There's not too much you can do in terms of movement. Again, punching off wedges when you can is very nice. You always want to check that hint and hit the spring. Almost always, unless it's a bottom piece one.
Yeah,
that's a great way to start. Like this one, yeah. There isn't really too much to say for the stage. Bad RNG is if you have to go up and down over and over again, pretty much, because it's so vertical. But the key is knowing where the nearest spring and the nearest rocket is.
So this is the middle the rocket that takes you to the middle, and then let me go back down there. So this is where the rocket is. After you take the spring, you go immediately to here, and to your left is another rocket. This rocket takes you from the middle to the top. And when we talk about pieces in this stage, we talk about them denoted based on how many rockets you need to take. So if you take no rockets, that's a bottom piece. If you take one rocket, it's a middle piece. If you need to take one rocket, it's a middle piece. And if you need to take both rockets, it's a top piece. Top pieces are the worst if you have to get them, because if you notice, this stage on average should take you about 40 seconds. If you get a top piece, it took me 18 seconds just to get up there, beelining it. And I didn't even have a piece yet.
Our least favorite combination is middle, and then going back down to the bottom, and then going up to the top, because you have to take 3 rockets, and it is ridiculously slow.
Yeah, it's basically 10 seconds per rocket. So you never really want to get that many, because it's 10 seconds per rocket, and then all the movement to get to the pieces. So this is a middle bottom, a middle top, and then it doesn't matter what the piece is. If you get a piece 2 at the top, that is not the one that I'm climbing up to right now. There's only one piece on the top that's really, really, really evil. And it's this one, because you have to climb all the way up here. It's the only piece that you have to climb all the way up here to. It's called Floating Stone Above a Moon.
And I'm so sorry if you get it. I apologize.
Yes, the best time you can really get is like a 50. So it's really sad. Every other piece is at like this height or lower.
And the rocket will pretty much take you there.
Yeah.
This is a very common one, so it's important to remember jump from the star. It can be in 3 of these rocks over here, but it's always in this area.
Yeah, so good thing to know about which rocks it can be in for jump from the star is, oh wow, there looks like there's 10 different rocks. Look for the ones that are spinning really fast. Those are the only ones that can have peace. It's the 2 that are really close and the one that's really far away over there. So yeah, as you can see, I have one that's close right here, It's this one. I didn't mean to grab it.
Yeah, it's fine.
But-
I think that's about all we have to say for the stage anyway.
Yeah, just make sure to take rockets. That's the fastest movement to get up and down or up from anywhere. So if you're high up but not high enough to where you need to go for a piece, just go back down and grab a rocket. I promise you it's going to be faster than most other sets of movement you can take. And then this is a very fun boss fight. It's actually pretty difficult because you need to make sure it's easy to do, but you can definitely mess it up. And if you mess it up, it's very dangerous. The first 8 seconds of it, you cannot do anything. Don't touch anything. As soon as the camera starts moving, you're going to not touch the analog stick. You're going to jump, glide, and then drill dive onto Rouge. It may feel dangerous because you don't have a ring, but she doesn't move for a few seconds. So immediately after you hit her, you can grab a ring and then jump and drill dive again and again to do damage.
And perform some handstands.
Perform some handstands. And biggest mistake that new runners do, you do not want to spam it. I know runners do spam. It's not a good idea. If you spam really, really fast, either you can mess up or Rouge will just bounce off of you. It's not a good idea to spam it that fast.
Yeah, you can either just do it really slow and time it, or you can go slow and then right when her iframes are about to be up, you can spam it then.
Yeah, so
if you feel confident in that.
Here's the way that I do it now, and it's actually really, really simple, is so you do the hit as normal for the first hit, and then she's going to kick, and then you drill dive. And then after that, you jump and drill dive, and then you can hit her again. And then jump and drill dive, jump and drill. You take a long time to do the next ones. If you
It's important to wait for that kick, though. You need to wait for the kick, or else you're going to get hit.
It's a big deal for sure.
And I didn't mean to finish this fight, but basically what you need to know is you have to do it within 20 seconds. If not, they're going to go all over the place. It's going to be a nightmare. You're going to hear the special attack sound 10,000 times more than you'd like to, and you'll still know nowhere where she is. She just completely disappears.
That's another one where if the fight goes on for too long, it's just faster to reset and try it again.
Yeah. Here we have some fun movement. This is the most fun stage to do movement for, by far.
So, I don't know. Do we just want to show this one off skip list? Because I think CGSS might be a bit too much.
Just
for
show
this.
off puzzle skip. I think that's all we really need to do.
That's what we're going to do. I'm going to show off skip list. You now know all the different things. Basically, we're going to spin dash chain, bounce, super bounce, bounce excel, and all the things that you know here. The only thing that's really kind of unique to the speedrun is we're not going to use the gravity switch at the end over here, and instead we're going to super bounce past it. So we're super bouncing past the gravity switch, keeping this incorrect gravity, going into this platform, hitting it with the reversed gravity, and we're going to basically save having to hit the gravity switch twice because of this. And then we just continue on with the stage, doing super bounces, blah, blah, blah. And take the gravity switch. If you're going for skipless, you take the switch that sends you straight down. You're going to turn the camera and do not, whatever you do, do not clip in early. You can hold forward, and I'm going to show this off while falling. Hopefully the camera switches. All right.
I'm sure it will,
Yeah, okay. Whoa, he has way too much speed falling down. Let me just
You can go into that wall, but it's gonna give you a bad time.
Yeah. So
there's a kill plane.
Yeah. That dark green that you see directly under, you can see that my cursor is here now again because I forgot about it. Sorry, this time it is mine. This green area, that's actually the kill plane. You can see it. It's not actually the kill plane, it's just something that visibly shows us the kill plane, but
basically
it basically is the kill plane. So you want to avoid that, because if you don't, You can die even though I'm still in the stage, like you just saw there.
Yeah.
So you can
Yeah.
completely make the jump and still die anyway. So what you
Yeah,
want
so
to...
you're going to want to time it so that you land on the rail or get through the gap at the right time.
Yeah, so you just want to land on the rail. This nice orange...
Preferably both.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's just silly that you can die and completely make it back to the stage. So you go down, and there you go. And then you just continue on with the stage. There's nothing really crazy that's happening here. There's a cycle that happens here with the enemies and their electric shields. I don't really remember it too well. I don't really care to remember it because you can just jump around them and light dash. And
Yeah.
it's not that dangerous to do the light dash because if you do mess up, you can hit this spring. Whatever you do though, what I've learned, don't try to homing attack the spring because sometimes you'll just die anyway. Kill planes in this stage don't function like you think they would. If you try, sometimes you'll do this and you'll straight up die, even though you hit the spring. Because random kill planes will do random things. And there's nothing really fancy here. There is one strat that I could show you. Another one
I'll show it off.
avoid having to switch the gravity. Notice how there's this set of boxes. Directly under this red chaos drive is where the upgrade is. That was a mistake.
That's funny.
This is where the upgrade is. As you can see. You don't have to switch the gravity. Normally what you're supposed to do casually is you're supposed to switch the gravity, hold down, get here, grab it. You don't need to do that. Instead, if you want to be really fancy, what you can do instead is do a bounce excel, and when Sonic gets to this slope, you jump and try to get to it.
It's kind of hard, so you definitely don't have to do it. It doesn't say much time, but again, if you want to try to do something fun, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would definitely suggest bounce excelling instead of doing like a spin dash, because spin dashes you get way too much speed and just bounce right back down really fast.
Yeah, I've always done the spin dash one. Maybe I'll have to try that.
Yeah, with the bounce excel, your max height is the floor, so you're never gonna bounce off of it and go right back down immediately. And it makes it significantly easier to get it. Plus, the speed that you get from a bounce excel is very consistent compared to a spin dash. So it made this strat go from being basically impossible for me when I was learning it at the time to very, very easy, because in 180 we have to do this every single time, and it saves a lot of time to do it consistently.
Yeah.
And then that's basically it for this stage.
Nice little fancy thing you can do.
It only saves like 5 seconds, so if you can't get it, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not a huge time save. Nice neutral stick jump across to that pit there.
Oh yeah, maybe I can talk about that.
That's all good. I think that's
Yeah, it's fine, it's fine.
And then here's some spin dash chaining on the slopes. Break the glass. Try not to hit the enemies. You can just kind of go right in the middle of them and like kind of just get right in front of the glass to make sure you hit it.
And then you hit these three.
Cool thing here, top route is really nice. If you hit this enemy, the doors will just open up for you.
Yep. So all you have... Oh. Hello, guys. How are you today?
Welcome back.
I don't think they're really happy about that, but anyway. What you want to do, this, like you saw me do earlier, don't try to actually walk across this. There's no point. If you learn the spin dash jump, use the fruits of your labor and just spin dash jump and homing attack him.
And another spin dash jump here.
There is one more point that I want to say. Immediately after you hit him, you might think that there's no platform to stand on, or you have to stand on that orange line. You don't. After you homing attack him, you can just homing attack again, and there's this small lip that even when the door is fully closed, you'll 100% be able to stay on here. So just homing attack and then homing attack again. That's all you have to do there. So I'll show it off one more time. Spin dash jump, homing attack, and there you go. And then you just keep going, do a spin dash jump to make it over here instead of using these springs, and we get to show off the only real fancy skill that we're going to show off. Yeah,
Do you know the new version of Puzzle Skip?
this one.
So yeah, you bounce over here, you homing attack out, you hit this switch, you can actually hit the goal ring from underneath.
I think this one's harder
It's
though.
way
It's a little
more-
bit harder, but it's cool. It's cool to show off. It's an option. Otherwise, we could show the classic one. I
Yeah.
think that's a little bit easier.
The classic one is much easier, but it requires having to do a super bounce. This one doesn't require any super bounce. And
It just requires like pretty good positioning and making sure you're right in the middle.
basically line up with this spring, and then homing attack up in the correct timing, and then you're able to do it. But it is actually it's easy to mess up, I will say. Until you learn it, it's easy to mess up, and it only saves like half a second compared to doing this. This
Yeah,
super bounce
I mean, definitely
is,
try out both because like upside down super bounce, I remember for me was really hard when I was not used to the game.
Yeah, the biggest reason why people make a mistake in that area, in that specific spin dash or super bounce, is because they are not angled towards the wall. And it's hard to be angled towards the wall because we didn't mention this. When the gravity switches, the angle you're holding changes. The directions start to invert in very weird ways. So it can become an issue, is basically what I'm trying to say. Thankfully, in this segment, in general, all you have to do is hold upright. When I was learning this, what you wanted to do is, what you're gonna do obviously is a super bounce onto here. And to line up, you have Sonic face the same direction that these lines, these like indents in the floor are facing. So as soon as you charge a spin dash, make sure that he lines up with that and then super bounce. That's like the hardest part, is knowing that Sonic is facing the right direction. As soon as you know how to do that, it's going to be a lot easier. And you just super bounce, jump, and then you hit the goal ring and die. But thankfully, because you hit the goal ring, the stage will continue. I died frame perfectly.
Nice.
Anyway,
Died twice.
yeah.
This saves a ridiculous amount of time if you remember this puzzle section as a kid. It's really annoying. It's really long. And instead, we could just do a single super bounce.
Or
skip it all.
if you can't do a super bounce and it's too difficult, there's actually a third way of doing it, and this is the easiest one. If you don't know, if that one seemed too difficult for you, or it seems too scary to go for, instead jump off and land on this red one. Hit this gravity switch and fall down. Bounce twice to jump onto here and hit this little guy. He's a little happy dude that we need to light up. We need to make him happy. Then you do a spin dash jump over and you skipped all of the puzzle, and you actually finish it in a normal looking way. Somewhat.
Yeah.
You're staying in bounds the entire time in that version.
Honestly, try all three. Whatever feels the most comfortable for you. They're all different speeds, but ultimately, as long as you're skipping the puzzle, that's what matters. So there's so many different ways to choose this here.
So this is what an optimal version of that looks like. Oh, also don't hit the acid.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Yeah, you
That's a
gotta
great
wait
thing
for
that I
it to
made a
disappear.
mistake there. Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
wait until it fully disappears, because it's the only thing that can one-shot kill you. Even if you have a shield, it will go through your shield. It will say no, you're not allowed.
Very powerful.
Yeah, it more so functions as a kill point.
It literally
Yeah.
is just a kill plane.
It's like the only kill plane that like has an animation and stuff.
So you wait for it to disappear and then you go through. And there you go. That's Crazy Gadget. We're almost done, everybody. And I definitely
two
am
more
not
bosses and a
taking too
stage.
long.
Yeah,
Don't
we'll
worry about
get
it,
through
you're all
these.
good.
All right, so we have our final appearance of Tails here against Eggman. Remember that little tip from the first one. Definitely don't melee because it'll make your life very difficult here.
Yes.
Me and Trader use the same strat, so I think it's fine to show that off. Yeah, I think it's worth.
Do we do the same strat? Is it
Yeah,
the
we do
timing?
the
You guys,
jump off
yeah,
this
you guys
thing.
do
Oh, okay.
the
Yeah, yeah.
strat. I do the other one.
Yeah,
Okay.
so basically what you're going to do here is you're going to run straight forward. As you get on this little dot in the ground on the intersection, you're going to press and hold the B button. You're going to jump right after and run along this orange line to your left. You're going to hold the B button because you want to actually keep your lock on. So the first one's going to shoot him, and then you're going to keep a lock on the second one.
Yes. Here's the most important thing. If you learn nothing for this stage or this boss fight, and it's very scary to learn, he doesn't shoot or move for a whole like 2 seconds after the stage starts. He has a bit of brain lag. He forgets that he's in a fight.
Yeah, get your free hit in. You got to. It helps so much.
Yeah, he's just like, oh yeah, I forgot. Hold on. He's really using all 300 IQ points there. So in that time,
He's having a brain blast.
yeah. he thought up a strategy to beat you, but unfortunately, you can just shoot him before he even utilizes it. So yeah, basically, what you're gonna do is you're gonna run up to him, like Dawn said, jump to the left, run up, jump, and as soon as it gets to 9.7, you're going to let go of the stored. As you can see, there's a lock on. Eggman's not there, but just imagine he is. Maybe that's what his 300 IQ was for. He goes invisible.
Disappearing?
Yeah.
Wow.
Vanish mode.
And as soon as it gets to 9.7, let go. And then he'll get hit again. It'll be the perfect time for his invulnerability. He'll get stuck on this wall that's only for the boss character instead of you, and then you'll be able to hit him again. If you do it late like that,
He actually broke out.
yeah, if you shoot him too late, he breaks out like that. So you want to hit him immediately as soon as you do that.
Yeah, and I mean, even if he doesn't get stuck the whole time, you've already got 2 hits on him. You only need to hit him 2 more times. So,
Yeah.
It's still a good strat for that reason alone.
And if he ever does the massive laser, do a pause hover and go to the left. For whatever reason, no matter what direction he's facing, always go to the left. Left. If he turns faster to his right, or I guess to his left, whatever. Anyway,
I think the animation for when you're facing Eggman will start from right to left,
yeah.
or like it like kind of like goes right and then a little bit left. So like if you start by going left as it's like kind of moving that way, you'll get to avoid it easier.
Yeah. If you go to the right, he's able to turn to face you much faster. And you're more likely to just die because of that. All right. And now we get the final stage. This is a very fun one. This is actually one where you're going to learn the major skip that everyone goes for. Asterisk.
Yeah, it's very worth it.
Yeah.
Bofa in Eternal Engine and this strat FR skip is so worth to learn. It skips a ridiculous amount of time, a very hard stage, and it's honestly easier than learning the stage optimally, I will say.
You're going to just ride the rails, hit this checkpoint. Even if you miss it, that's fine, because this isn't too bad, but for the purpose of this, I'm going to hit it. And we're going to land on this rail. This rail is where we're going to do the major skip. As soon as we pass the second ring here, do you see how there's like rings surrounding the rail? After we get past the second one, we're going to jump and bounce holding up left. So we're gonna jump back. We're gonna jump.
Timing?
That's actually a pretty big issue that can happen from time to time.
So yeah, you want to jump and bounce off the rail here.
Hey, hold on, let me get a better save point.
better
'cause that
save
one,
state.
yeah,
Yeah.
'cause that one's a little rude. There we go.
So you want to jump and bounce off the rail. One nice thing is you can just hold the camera trigger here and it'll turn you in the right direction. the part that always messes people up is you want to transition from what is it? Is it up left or is it upright to up left? That's the inputs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're coming off the rail, you want to hold upright, and then as the camera's turning, you turn with the camera to up left until here.
Yes. So,
And you settle in at up left.
yeah, so this is going to take a bit of, a lot of practice, actually. I think it's going to be the most difficult part of FR skip is jump, bounce, you're holding upright. Right now, I'm holding upright. Still holding upright. Now it's starting to turn, I'm holding up, and now I'm holding up left.
The important thing is to adjust with the
Yeah.
camera, which will feel not normal at first, but you'll get a feel for it. It's just you want to keep the just move it gradually along like the outside of the gate.
This is what happens
Yeah, I mean,
if you weren't going to do that.
Yeah. Even if you need to pause it like Trader was there, you can definitely do that. If you need to like take your time and like adjust with it while you're learning and getting that movement down, it's totally fine to do. Whatever you need to really get that muscle memory, because this is by far the most difficult part right here. After this, you're not home free, but it's easier.
Yeah, now what we're doing is we're going to, from when you jump off, from when the camera turns, you're going to look up into the top left corner and pay attention to the timer. So I jump off, the camera's turned. I've paused, it's 39. We're gonna add 17 seconds to that, and we're gonna keep going in this direction for 17 seconds. You wanna hold up left in such a way that Sonic lines up with this, oh, perfect. I have the cursor. Let me show you.
That works.
A few different ways that you can do it. The method that's the safest for most people, I would say play around with this, by the way. Whatever works for you, right? When I was first learning, I would hold this angle for 17 seconds and be underneath this red highlight for the arc. This red part of the building, if the cursor is there, directly underneath or directly above Sonic. That's what I used to line up for. There is a way scarier lineup that you can do, which is getting this aura of Sonic's to go to. Do you see the little blue ball above Sonic, or right here that's next to the timer? We want it in line with the rings. That's the scary one. But I've learned recently that for some people, they actually prefer that one, even when they were beginners. So anywhere from here all the way down to here.
Yeah, either will work. It's really just preference.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I use one that's kind of in between. It's like I make sure that the last ball of aura there on the trail is lined up under the ring count.
Yeah, so something like this.
Literally like that, yeah.
So what's the timer here? Is it 56?
It's 56. So after it goes for 56, by the way, this entire time I'm holding up left. I'm keeping this angle as still as I possibly can. And as soon as it gets to 56, I'm going to switch to holding up. And then I don't know why, I turn the camera and I hold forward. We're going to be aiming at Hudson's Bay. If you don't know what that is, big blue dot over here. We put the blue dot in the blue dot. So
yeah, a bay is a good way to put it because there's the white outline around Sonic right now. You kind of just want to put him in the middle of that little center bit, like you said, like a bay.
Yeah,
it's a big blue area.
And you go all the way down, and you're gonna keep holding this angle. I have a weird visual cue for exactly where in the bay you want to be. Anywhere here is pretty safe, but if you want an angle that is pretty decent. I'm going to try to move Sonic out of the way. I don't know if anyone else is going to see this. I'm going to try to point it out. This looks like a skull in the bottom left corner of that bay, and I try to have Sonic on that skull. You see
Oh,
the
I actually do see it.
nose.
There's two dark
Oh.
spots that are like an eye, or they're like eyes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a little skull. And do you see the like the
It's still in that crescent.
no brain power that he has to the right of his eye? That's where you want to line Sonic up to. So he's gonna go forward and he's gonna go into the no brain section because you don't want to think about it. It's a no brainer.
True.
And this whole time
Also-
you're just holding forward.
Yeah. Also, I see it in chat, so I'm going to reiterate. You want to count 17 seconds off of the timer. You can count it or do the math like as you get off the rail.
Yes.
And before
example,
you do this turn.
I don't do math. I count
Yeah,
because
that
I don't
works
trust
too.
myself.
And then we go
All right,
towards
so
the
this
stage.
is going to be too low.
Yeah, the reason it's too low is because I was moving over to the right so that I could show you the skull. And how do we
Yeah.
know it's too low? Well, you want Sonic to make it past this building that you see, this collision. Well, not really collision. At a height of... okay, let me go back.
I would just move past. I would just move past it so you can see the actual thing that you're trying to make.
That's true, but I want to show like the visual cue so that you know if you have height first, and then I'll do what you said. So, oh god, okay, maybe not. Okay, let's just show it here. We go through the building and we're landing right here, and we'll die.
Also, you want to stay in bounce so that that collision doesn't fight you like it just did to Trader.
Yeah, so I'll show it off.
It'll be a lot more favorable and just slide you towards the goal ring, unfortunately.
If you don't bounce, by the way, you can still continue holding this angle. It's just way harder to time and everything.
So it's also a little bit slower, and I think like usually you want to count 18, right?
Yep.
Instead of 17.
You count
Yes.
1 second extra. I don't even know what
and
that
that'll
was. So.
get you past the kill plane.
That angle is way harder to hold because while you're in bounce, it's actually harder to break the skewed gravity. So you have more leeway for the angle that you have to hold. But when you're like that, you have to hold a more strict angle or else Sonic will lose the skew and then you won't be... The whole reason for doing that, which I don't know if we explained, is we're trying to like
Keep the
move
ground.
around a kill plane.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're trying to go with the skewed gravity. We're going out of bounds and going past where a kill plane ends, turning around and going under it.
Infinite height.
So yeah, this is a ton of height. If you can see, like, yeah, I mean, you see those two like lines coming out where the building is at the bottom. You want to be like above that, but like we have so much height. This is not even a question.
And that was an example
And
of
yeah.
it just pushing you away.
The collision fights you.
Let me,
If you aren't in bounce, though, you can save it there by trying to center Sonic as much as you can with the path there. You will still get pushed out by the invisible wall there, but if you can manage to keep Sonic centered as much as possible, you can fall and still land safely. But again, it's a little bit scary.
I'm gonna...
Bounce
So do we
is
have
safer.
anything else, or do we want to do like one more run through of the trick,
Yeah, I just want to do
or is there anything else?
one more run through of the trick and show... I'm gonna save state it so that I can actually show the difference between bouncing and not bouncing.
Okay. So to reiterate, off the rail at the second ring, and then you want to hold that for 17 seconds. If you want to count it out loud, that totally works. Or you can just do the math on the timer. It's totally up to you, whatever feels better. And then after that 17 seconds, you want to turn around to the skull, as Trader said, this little bay here. Aim towards that. Based off of your angle and when you jump off, you're going to have to adjust it. So I would say just play around with that personally. Find a spot you like. And stay in bounce. There's really no reason to homing attack, even though you're going to feel like you need to sometimes if you're low. Because this collision that Trader's going to show off right now will slide you to the goal ring if you're in bounce. Also, can you pause real quick?
Yep.
So here, right when you see the stage load in, there's actually a kill plane in the way. So you don't want to be directly behind this. You want to be to the right of this middle building, sort of. Like where Trader is, where he's on the right part of it, is totally fine. But if you're dead center with it, you're going to hit the kill plane.
Yeah.
Which is why we come into the right.
And if you want to be safe, line up past, in between the middle and right building. That's the safest. You don't have to make any guesses or stress about it.
But yeah, after like a second or two, you're already going to be like plenty fine. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so like Yeah, after a second or two of having seen everything load in, you could probably turn to the center pretty much immediately. You see that little arrow there? As long as you're above that in bounce, you'll be fine. That little downwards arrow,
Yeah.
that's my cue. If you're above that, I'm fine. Even if it's going to look scary, you'll be able to make it work.
If you clip in directly underneath those lights, that's the minimum required height for bounce.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to even make. If you notice, I'm actually too low for it. And you can still make it.
You'll be fine.
It's just going to be risky. Like,
yeah, and if you're really low, you want to make sure to center on that little tunnel as much as you can, because it'll push you. But if you're to the side, it'll push you to the side, and obviously you don't want that.
Yeah. So, and then here's an example of what would happen if you're in. Oh, you know what? Actually,
Out of ball form, I guess.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me try to do it like this with extra height.
Save state turning you around.
Yeah. It's a little silly.
So yeah, even if you are really high, this wall can still grab you, and you have a chance to get dragged down with it. Just stay in bounce unless it's a dire situation.
So you just
even then, you're probably still more likely with bounce anyway.
And there's finally only one last thing to show you all.
The final boss.
Yes. And it's actually really simple. All you have to do is there's actually two different methods that I know of. I know Don has his method, which is go fling yourself to the right and then neutral stick, which I think is very, very common. Yeah.
For whatever reason, being on the right side of him, he like slows down, I think, when you're passing him. And so when you homing attack from the right side, he will slow down and you can hit him.
I think it's a distance thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I do is I just hold forward, and as soon as the game allows me to move, I jump and homing attack.
Yeah, I mean, that works.
And if you notice, the platform doesn't fall, or at least it's not supposed to fall, if you keep doing it. But if you do it the way, here's the way that Don shows it, is you go to the right. Okay, maybe
I don't go that far out.
Maybe not that.
I just do like 5 degrees, 5 to 10 degrees to the right is what I do.
It's basically just jump slightly past shadow.
Slightly off the platform, basically.
Like that. And then you're going to just homing attack him and damage him. Don't worry about the timing that I did there. The most important thing that you want to do is immediately after shadow homing attacks, you homing attack, because he's gonna become vulnerable. Like, for example, he homing attack that I did actually optimally, but that's fine. He's homing attacking, you can homing attack and get him as well. Actually, it seems to be a slight bit earlier. You gotta anticipate.
Yeah, so
and
also what I do to help a little bit is I wait until shadow lands to even start homing attacking at all.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Let me do that.
It helps with timing. Also, I see so many people holding forward. You don't need to. Please just neutral stick. Otherwise, you're going to be bouncing all over the place trying to hit shadow.
Yeah, there's no need to guide him here. The homing attack will do all the work for you.
It's called a homing attack.
Exactly. Alternate strategy we could show off is the special attack one.
Yeah, there's two different. I don't think there's a much. You know what? Fine, let's show that actually, and then I'll show off.
I mean, if you have a better one, that's fine.
Okay, because there is one other one that I really wanted to show off, which is the bounce one. This is really, really simple to do. Get the first hit however you want. It doesn't really matter if you do it normally and then you mess up afterwards. All you got to do, get in front of shadow, bounce. After you do that, bounce again, move slightly farther ahead, and then you're going to bounce even more, and you'll keep hitting him like that. He is weak to the bounce strat.
It's also a good backup too. Like if you miss a homing attack, like you mistime it, you will end up landing right with shadow. So you can just bounce on top of him right away if you notice you didn't hit it.
Yeah. Let me see if I can do that timing. I'm trying to
just do it early.
Okay, no. Let me die. Okay, we're gonna go
I
to.
think Trader soft locked.
And there we have it. Time.
We did technically beat him.
Saved a world, Sonic. Dude, this would be a
Complete your
really
mission.
cool credits.
Honestly, it is. It's actually really cool.
Looks like Star Wars.
So yeah, there you have it.
Yeah.
That's the stage.
And there you have it. That is Hero's story.
I have soft locked.
That
I
is
can't
Hero's
do
story.
anything, so we're gonna just watch.
Yeah, I mean, you've basically learned everything you need to know. Time his homing attacks. Homing attack right after he homing attacks, and bounce if you miss. That's all you really need to know.
Yeah.
This is a very unique soft lock. I can't say this is like the third thing that I can say I've never
Wait.
seen that before.
It's
what happens
because-
if you exit? Or
There's-
no, go into free movement and then press B to go to the recent checkpoint. Does that work? Oh no. B loads you to a new to a checkpoint.
I mean, I'm technically somewhere. I don't know.
think
Oh, look,
Sonic
he's
is-
at the
oh.
very bottom. We can see him.
Oh my gosh.
He's back.
This is crazy.
All right. So we just.
And Shadow's just there.
I think he's okay, guys. He's gonna be okay.
He's the
He'll still be in
coolest. He's
last
just
story.
taking a little nap.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be in Laugh Story. Oh my gosh, you can still homing attack him? Again, that's a new one. Oh man, you just sent him to space.
And now we canonly
Wow.
finish the story with a shadow falling into the earth.
Informative and a good time.
Yeah.
All right.
What
Well, this was a great time.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for having us. This was very fun.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you so much, Trader, for filling in. Internet problems are annoying, but I think we did a great job regardless. This was a great time. Thanks, Church, for inviting us. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all so much for being on, for teaching the game. This was. I'm gonna be honest. When I reached out, you said here. I think I can fill 2 hours, and I was like, really? With Hero Story? Isn't that like 30 minutes? I am
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised. I did not. The depth of this game has shocked me. So huge shout outs to the
crazy.
three of you for.
What's
for
crazy
teaching
is there's even more we didn't talk about.
We held back.
yeah, what's absurd is that this is a beginner level
Yeah.
glimpse into the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a difficult game. I think the thing about SA2 is that it's not like a game where it's like you need a big skip to save 2 hours to complete a run. You can kind of just boot it up with like a base level knowledge and do a run, which I think is really neat. But then like you can learn all the stuff that we have taught today and improve at kind of your own speed and still like have like you'll be improving on like the movement and stuff over time and just like naturally get better at the game
Yeah.
and stuff. So
A
Yeah.
great way to put it is there is no new strats or fancy skips between a 21 runner and a 27 runner. There's
Yeah,
no.
that's like 100 spots on the board, maybe more.
Yeah. And it's all just movement and knowledge. Which this game has
Yeah.
way too much that you may have to remember, but you don't have to remember it all at once. You get to do it at
yeah,
your
again,
pace.
you learn it over time. Like definitely, like if you're curious about playing this game, just give it a try. Like there's a lot of good resources. It has a great community of people willing to help you learn stuff, and it's an amazing speed game. I mean, if we've shown anything today, we've shown that this game has so much depth.
Yeah, and here's what I'm gonna say. Anyone who's scared about doing a run, I think you can beat my time. I got a 3 hour, 26 minute time here. Let's see if you can do better.
Yeah, that's the challenge after this.
Exactly.
Go ahead and beat that.
And I think one of the best things about games like this, where there's not like once you get into like the kind of the intermediate area, there's not really anything left to learn. Is that it really drives home that a lot of what we do in speedrunning is practicing. And not necessarily just like like nobody's a god gamer right off the bat in speedrunning for the most part. Like all of us who are, you know, at the top of our leaderboards are there because, you know, we've played the game 100, 200, 300, 1,000 hours or whatever. And that's why we're like people are so good at their games is because they've practiced a lot. And I think, you know, this kind of shows that it's like, well, yeah, you can get to, you know, an intermediate area, and then all you have to do from there is just like keep going at it, just keep practicing, just keep learning, and then the more you do it, the better you'll get.
Absolutely. And this is a fun game to get fast at. After all, it is a Sonic game, and going fast in a game that you're meant to go fast is insanely fun.
For sure.
It feels great.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say I'm very happy. This was, you know, it's meant to be a great introduction and basically everything you need to know to get started. And I think we accomplished that today. It's been great.
Thank you all, the three of you, so much for being on, for showcasing this. Absolutely fantastic explanation. I might pop this open later and try a few things here.
And finally, we can also say there's also a tutorial playlist that I made for this game, for Hero's Story in particular. It's got every single Sonic and Tails stage, as well as every boss fight, and I will one day torture myself enough to do all the Knuckles information that you need. That's going to be like just that alone will be an hour-long tutorial, so if you want a movie to watch, I guess. But everything else is a lot simpler. We go into more depth while also being as concise as possible in those tutorials. And if you don't want to watch tutorials, there's also written tutorials that people have. And if you don't want that and you need someone to talk to you, this community is really open and great to talk to in the Discord. There's plenty of people that are willing to help you. At the end of the day, speedrunners, we're all just a bunch of nerds that really, really want to talk about the thing that we're proud of.
Yeah, SA2 is a lot of our hyperfixations, and if you join the Discord, ask a question, there will probably be 10 people trying to answer you.
Yeah.
And if you're on the YouTube video watching this, all of the links for everything we just talked about will be in the description. So the Discord links, the speedrun page, the tutorials, all of that will be linked there for you.
Sweet. Well, thank you again for having us.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you all being here. Appreciate you swapping with Don at the last second. And just overall, thank you all so much. With that being said, it is a little later than we were all expecting. Not that that's a problem, but we do have, this is all we have for you tonight. Tomorrow up, we will have more hotfix though. We are starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have Arcade Pit, followed by Speedruns from the Crypt. Hope to see you all there. Have a great night, everyone.